Welcome to episode number 53 of the Let's Discuss Gaming podcast. I am your host, Triple J. Joining me is my co-host, Dr. Games 101.
What's going on, guys? Hey.
And we're going to talk about the gaming news that's come out over the last couple of weeks. So I say let's get started.
Oh, yeah.
All right, first story. Sony discontinuing PS5 launch feature you probably never used. The PlayStation 5 has been the current Sony console for just under 2 years, having been released on November 12, 2020 in the US. At launch, there was a number of new features associated with the console, such as game help cards, activity cards, and several others. One of those new features was the accolade system. If you're like me, you didn't know this feature existed before it's made its way into headlines today. As for why it's in headlines, it's because the launch feature is being discontinued in the fall of 2022, according to Sony. In fall of 2022, the accolades feature on PlayStation 5 will no longer be supported. An update from Sony reads, "The feature hasn't seen the level of usage we anticipated, so we are refocusing our efforts. We encourage the community to continue to send positive messages to one another." If you're curious about what Accolades was in light of its forthcoming discontinuation, it allowed players to give accolades and positive encouragement to other players they came across online. You could give another player a helpful, welcoming, or good sport accolade based on what it was like playing with them. You were allowed to give one accolade per match, and you could only give them to players who weren't your friends. As for why? Well, Sony kept track of your accolades and other players could view them. You've now only got a few months, maybe even less, to secure as many of these accolades as possible, or you could just ignore the feature, which is probably what you've been doing the past 2 years, whether you knew it or not. So, what do you think of Sony discontinuing this feature?
Well, unfortunately, I never tried to get my hands on the PS5, so I can't really say per se. But it's like kind of a similar situation with Xbox at the time, Xbox One, of the snapping app feature. At one point, it was very convenient to watch wrestling on like a TV program while playing Apex Legends at the time. That is, But now it's like with this PS5 launch feature, it's like it's a waste of time now. I mean, and money too to some people. Depends on how you look at it. So that's what I'm thinking of.
I never heard of this feature beforehand, which is why like most people are probably in the dark like I was. But it's kind of like, what was the point of this feature? If you wanted to, you could set. I mean, unless on PS5 you can't send messages to someone that's not on your friends list.
Right.
Then what's the point? No, because I was playing Dead Rising Case West years ago.
Right.
This is back when I lived in New York. I don't even think I think it was like 2012, 2013.
Right.
And what happened was someone joined my game, taking control, Frank, and he was great at the game. If I had played the game all night with him, we probably would have beaten it together. He was just like as good as I was. He was that much better. At the end of that game, when I had to sign off for the night, I sent him a friend request. Now he never responded to it, but I'm just thinking, were you not unless you weren't able to send messages? Well, you had to be able to send friend requests, but unless you weren't able to send messages to non-friends, what was the point of this game? What was the point of this feature?
Yeah, it's
it sounds like something that was an extra that wasn't needed, which is why people probably have no idea what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Ready to move on?
I would like to say this though. Now, I understand that the Snap app and Xbox is very different of itself, but it still kind of identifies as a needful feature. If you think about it, after a while, with the Xbox, as a snapping app, it was useful to some people like myself. But people to complaining, I don't know who these people are, these gamers, but they complain to Xbox saying that they want to get rid of the feature because it affects the frame rate. And it's only by what? A few points, few frames per second. Yes, it fluctuates every now and then if you watch a certain high resolution video or high resolution game. or playing at the same time. But that's the beginning of the Xbox feature. I'm sure they put the snap app in the Xbox Series S and X sometime in the future, if ever. That's when it's going to look more credible on Microsoft, and Sony will look like an idiot for doing what they did with this feature on their own end. So that's all I got to say.
Yeah. So all right. So yeah. Ready to move on?
Yep.
Okay. Next, Sega Genesis Mini 2 announced. Comes with 6-button controller and Sega CD games. The mini console will launch with over 50 titles, including Sonic CD and Outrun. Sega announced on Twitter that the Genesis Mini 2 will release in North America on October 27th. The miniature-sized console's design is based on the second model of the Genesis and comes with a library of over 50 games, including some Sega CD titles. Games featured in this console's library include Sonic CD, Shining Force CD, Outrun, and Afterburner 2, among others. The increased power of the new model allows these titles to be playable with full motion video. More game announcements will come as the website only lists 23 of the total titles to be included. In addition to the revised model, the mini console comes with a 6-button Genesis controller. However, the 3-button controllers released with the original Genesis Mini will also be compatible. Purchasing a unit comes with the console itself, one wired control pad, a USB power adapter, a power cable, and an HDMI cable. The site does not mention if you will be able to purchase additional 6-button controllers, though further announcements about the model are forthcoming, including price. If you are planning a purchase, you should know that the Genesis Mini 2 is an Amazon exclusive, at least for the time being. The original Sega Genesis Mini came with 42 games, including Sonic 2 and Castlevania Bloodlines. Whether any of those titles will be returning to the Mini 2 has yet to be announced. So, are you interested in the Sega Genesis Mini?
If it's on Amazon.com, I'm well ahead of it. At this point, I mean, I wish I could buy it right this second. If it costs somewhere in about $250, I'm not gonna buy it. But if it costs less than $250, I can definitely buy it sometime next month. And if it's on limited edition and it's limited in sales, I will definitely try to buy it by the early September area, sometime time period. But if it comes with a certain game, there's a certain games I play with my friends who are twin brother and sister. I don't want to name their names, but they lived in Brooklyn at one point, and we played games together on the Sega Genesis. That's the only people I know who played Sega at the time was my those twin brothers and sisters. And if they've seen this, this is out to you guys. And it's a certain game. It's like a side-scrolling game. It's like playing Metal Slug, but with Alien vs. Predator at the same time type of style gameplay, like meshing the two together. I forget the name of the game, bro. It was good. It was hooked. I was hooked like a motherfucker in a sense.
Okay, well, did you ever play Sega CD?
At friends' houses. That's about it. I didn't have a console Sega Genesis. I had.
Do you remember any of the games you played on Sega CD? I'm assuming Sonic CD.
Now, I could have sworn I did play Sonic CD with you while we were still living here in New York.
No, I don't think it was me.
Okay, then we're playing Power Rangers then. That's the one.
Yeah, Power Rangers on Sega CD we played.
And that was the first time I ever played Power Rangers on the Sega CD. So I heard that Power Rangers was a big popular thing, and I took part in having the Green Ranger, at least 2 episodes of the Green Ranger saga. But Sega itself, like, I could have asked my mom for it, but I felt like I was asking too much. She already spent like $300 on a Super Nintendo that came with Super Mario Bros. All Stars. I still have the system and the game to this day. So, the Sega Genesis Mini can be a good addition to my collection, as well as I can play it on my own time. And if they had that game that I specified earlier with those twin brother and sisters, if they could tell me, if I could ever reach out to them, I'll be like, hey, guys, remember that game we played together? I know we argued with each other, but you remember this? This certain game? I was like, it was that good. It was like Metal Slug, but better, So.
Okay. It's probably going to be mostly first-party games, like they said, Sonic, Shining Force. Probably we'll get Shinobi on there, although I don't remember what games were on the first Sega Genesis Mini.
Right.
I think the first one, if I'm not mistaken, also had a cartridge slot, or I might be thinking of something else. So you could play the built-in games, or if you had cartridges lying around, you could play the cartridge. I might be confusing that with something that was at my Dollar General store when I first came down here.
Right.
Sure, picked it up. But anyway, so yeah, they're gonna have built-in games. They're gonna have Sega CD games. The 6-button controller really is only meant it's really only if you're like one of those fighting game purists. I feel if you're gonna play a shooter, if you're gonna play a Sonic game, especially, you don't need the 6-button controller, so it's not really a big deal unless you're playing like Street Fighter.
Mm-hmm.
Or Primal Rage. I know that was on Sega Genesis.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I'm interested to see what will be on the system. Unfortunately, we do have some more news about it, but it's not good news.
I see.
And we'll get to that right now. Sega Genesis Mini 2 has limited stock, about 10% of the original Mini supply. The Mini console is almost a Japan exclusive, which also means import costs. Because of the ongoing semiconductor shortage, comparatively few units of the Sega Genesis Mini 2 will be sold in North America, approximately 10% of the original version supply. According to a statement given to Polygon, the Sega Genesis Mini 2 was originally planned to be a Japan-only product. However, upon discovering that Amazon's Japan store allowed a small number of units to be sold via the North American site, it allocated a small number of units to sell in North America. Sega did not clarify if there were plans for a second one. This also means that the Mini 2 has a significant markup price from the last model. The original Mini cost $80 plus shipping, while the Mini 2 is listed on Amazon at $106.65 with $21.99 additional shipping cost for a total of $125.79. As of writing, the Mini console's pre-order page is still open and the console launches on October 27, 2022. Sega announced the Mini 2 last month. It comes with a new version of the Genesis 6-button controller and over 50 games, including Sega CD titles. The original Genesis Mini came with 42 classic games, including Sonic the Hedgehog, Altered Beast, Echo the Dolphin, among many others. So this article had the price. Would you be willing to spend like $126 on it after shipping?
Yeah, why not? I mean, it's worth it. $100. It's a good kind of. Well, it's like I can afford it if I sacrifice a few things. Like I'm not buying like like lavish items or food like pizza or Chinese food, nothing like that. I think I can sacrifice that to get this game of the Sega Genesis Mini. So yeah, why not? 100. I see on Amazon it's not Machine Pacific for about $105 last time I checked, but it's going to release by October 27th. So
well, keep in mind it's also I said 126 after shipping.
Right. Excuse me. So all right.
So I mean, it's a good thing. It's a shame that limited supply, but we don't know. Limited supply could be, 3,000, 30,000. We don't know. Unfortunately, I won't have the money for this. It's probably gonna run out. But the thing is, again, expect first party titles to be on here. So like the Sonic game, Shinobi. Mm-hmm. Maybe Toe Jam and Earl, because that was Sega's property.
Oh, yeah. How about Earthworm Jim?
Earthworm Jim, I think, was a Sega Genesis property, although I think they had a sequel on Super Nintendo.
Yeah, I got one of the Earthworm Jim Super Nintendo emulators on my computer somewhere. If I can find it, that is. It's all over. It's in between my external hard drives, my thumb drive, as well as my old computer over in my closet. A very old computer. It's a Sony Vaio computer. If I ever get my hands on it, not fixing it, but reboot it, make sure it's clean and working well again, I should be able to extract the gameplay from those files. But other than that, it's worthwhile to go for this Sega Genesis Mini, and I hope they'll have more available by October 27th, Amazon stores. If not, then I have to pre-order at least a month ahead of time. So.
Right, and even if they don't, maybe once the semiconductor shortage is dealt with, because that's not going to last forever.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
then they might even add in more. You know, they might even allow more to be sold at the time being. I don't know if the first Sega Genesis Mini is still available. That one kind of flew in under the radar for me, but yeah, Sega Genesis Mini 2. We'll know more, especially when the full list of games get revealed. What's going to be on it?
Yeah, I hope they're gonna have that game that I mentioned earlier with the twin brother and sister. We had a blast. I mean, we did argue here and there. I was the spoiled kid without no brothers.
Was it like Wild Guns? I know that's a popular game.
It's like these soldiers slash agents where it's like you shoot constantly, like it's a run and gun side scrolling game like Metal Slug, but it's much more of a different style at the same time. I can't explain it. It's been at least 20 years I haven't played that game. That's how long ago I have played it, and I remember it in my head for how many decades. I was 6 at the time, so.
All right. Yeah. So we'll definitely be keeping tabs on it, especially how long it is before it gets, especially the full list of games before it comes out in October.
I hope they'll have the first 3 Sonic games on this Sega Genesis Mini 2. That'll be nice.
You think you want what?
I said I hope that they have the first 3 Sonic games for the Sega Genesis Mini 2.
Yeah, they might. I mean, but then again, they might have been on the first Sega Genesis Mini, and I don't know. I don't know if it would be smart to put the same game on the same Sega Genesis Mini.
Really?
To put the same one game on Sega Genesis Mini and then put the same one on Sega Genesis Mini 2.
Yeah, good point. You have a point.
But then again, they did that with Sonic's Ultimate Genesis Collection, where they had like every Sonic the Hedgehog game, 1, 2, 3, and Knuckles. They had, the 2 Vector Man games. They had Earthworm Jim. They had the 3 Golden Axe games. This is kind of like that. But like I said, we'll as time goes on, we'll find out more games as they're announced that are going to be on the Sega Genesis Mini 2.
Okay.
Ready to move on?
Yep.
Okay. Next. Indonesian government blocks Steam, Epic, and Nintendo for 270 million people. It's part of an escalating series of laws which human rights groups describe as deeply problematic. Over the weekend, the Indonesian government began the task of blocking any website or service that has failed to register as part of the new internet control laws. That ended up being a lot, including everything from Steam to the Epic Game Store to Nintendo Online to EA and Ubisoft's platforms. Indonesia's Ministry of Communication and Information Technology, Cominfo, took the steps after the introduction of strict new laws, which the government says is part of a crackdown on anything appearing online that is deemed unlawful, and which would require any online service platform or provider hosting any such unlawful content to remove it within 24 hours or 4 if it is deemed to be urgent. In order to abide by these laws, international companies operating in Indonesia need to have signed up by the weekend, and unsurprisingly, given the sweeping powers at play, many have chosen not to, all at least for now. As a response, non-participating services have been blocked to Indonesian IPs, which means alongside wider, more mainstream companies like PayPal and Yahoo, a host of gaming platforms have also been cut off. While PayPal was temporarily reinstated in order to allow customers to get their money off the platform, the gaming stores and platforms have remained dark since the weekend. The new law's registration deadline passed on July 27th. As Global Voice sums up, these laws have been opposed both within and outside of Indonesia since they were first announced. The mandatory registration of private electronic systems operators is stipulated in the Ministerial Regulation 5, issued in December 2020, is amended version Ministerial Regulation 10, which was released in May 2021. Both have been consistently opposed by the media, civil society groups, and human rights advocates for containing provisions that pose a threat to freedom of expression. Well, I mean, I don't know how the Indonesian government works, but this is why you should be careful who you vote for. if they have free and true elections.
I'm
None of the
sure they do.
service they might. I really don't know about Indonesian's government, so I
Well,
don't know what kind of government they have.
well, this sounds similar to what's going on with Istanbul. If I remember correctly, the name of the Sri Lanka. No, excuse me, it's Sri Lanka. I think Sri Lanka's going through a revolt going on in that country too, and they block off the internet access from that country too. So, if they're going through that, I'm sure the Indonesian government has that same situation going on in that country too. Because we've been hearing for years, for this one based on my research, someone by the name of an economist called Eric D. Carbonell back in the 2010s explained that the Indians were going through a food shortage here and there. Like perhaps one year might be very short and scarce, and the other year is prosperous, and so on and so forth. So there's a fluctuation of, of the food supply going on there too. That's why the government tried to, block access for people to try to take advantage of the e-commerce there. And if Indonesian government is doing that, that's what they're trying to do as well with the Steam and Epic Games, things that matter. Um, it's kind of weird for the government to block all that access because that's a money making for their country too. The taxation and filing things that matter. So it's like I don't get why would they do that to these gamers who are plenty of gamers in Indonesia. I think I'm still in contact. Well, this is from my previous profile on Facebook. So someone from either Southeast Asia told me what's going on, and he's like, he's having a hard time trying to maintain a job just to pay off the bills. So it's kind of like,
Right.
I said they're paying over there in the Southeast Asia area. And this is back in 4 years ago. So I can't imagine what's going on right now after for the last few months with the Sri Lanka and and other countries in Southeast Asia going through their economic turmoils at first. So
All right. Well, there is more information on this.
sure thing.
None of the services currently affected are banned. They're technically just restricted until either they sign up to ComInfo or the law is modified or repealed. Some of the companies that have signed up include Google, well, no surprise there, Roblox, and Riot Games, which is responsible for League of Legends and Valorant. And while direct access to services like Steam are currently not available, Indonesian gamers are already reportedly getting around this by using a VPN, virtual public network.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, my point is, especially with the Democrats, this could happen here. It would not take much for us to be going through this ourselves. Um,
Oh yeah.
I mean, we we deal with just look at what's been going on right now, and then you're trying to they're trying to take away guns, they're trying to rewrite the Second Amendment as the way they see fit.
Here in New York State.
um
Here in New York State.
and then look what happened.
Yep.
Look what happened during the pandemic, saying even though saying you didn't have the right to assemble, although that's in the First Amendment.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. You have to be careful who you vote for. Now, I know none of the insane blue crowd is going to listen, but they probably don't listen to me anyway. Um,
Yeah, especially us.
but to the people who have brain cells that can think, yeah, if you continue to vote for dictators, Democrats, this could happen here, and they've already tried taking away little things. They're still trying to take away guns. They're still trying to get state laws that they don't like passed federalized, which is a violation of the 10th Amendment.
Oh, yeah. Here in New York State,
And
if I can elaborate on New York State, my governor, Governor Hochul, she's the new governor as of late, and I'll take it over Kobo, and she's trying to propose to the city council or the assemblymen, the state senators, etc., that to eliminate all open carry, if not concealed carry as well, from most public places like restaurants, parks, theme parks, things of that matter. And I'm like, that's like disarming pretty much all of New Yorkers who have guns to protect themselves. So that's just that one little thing. But imagine what's going on in Indonesia is kind of like several times worse with doing not just this censorship with Steam and Epic Games, but also with their constitutional rights or any human rights to begin with. It sucks, you know. And I hope we're not going to have this in the next 5 or 10 years if this keep continuing like this.
Look, even though I was in New York, thankfully by this time, look at when they had the vaccine. Look how they were making the vaccine mandatory if you wanted to do anything and continue going to work, even going to work to pick up a paycheck. They were making it mandatory.
You know what's funny, my friend? They're not forcing you to take the vaccine. They're making sure you take part in the psyche of the vaccination. Meaning that if you don't take the vaccine, sure, you don't have to take it, but you still need to pay for your bills, for your job. Whatever. Now, for the next several months now, every job I try to apply to is asking for a vaccine passport. And thank goodness I got the vaccine passport, because at first, here in New York City specifically, they encouraged me to get the vaccine for the first dose for $100. And I took it. I waited for a few months. I was like, okay, now hold back and see what's going to happen. And people ate it up. You know, I was like, okay, then I see that, you know, I have to take at least one dose in order to do something here in New York City. Because if I don't, then I couldn't enter the government offices to do the jury duty last month, and I'll be in jail or get fined by now. So thank goodness that, you know, it's a convenient trickery going on in these governments throughout the United States, from here in New York and to not Florida, but like California, especially New York and California, the big head honchos in censorship and suppressing rights, you want to call it like that. So, yeah.
Not to mention, I find it funny how now the only ones that are getting COVID publicly are Democrat people who are Democratic politicians.
Right.
You know, Joe Biden announced he had it. Stacey Abrams announced she had it, which.
Mm-hmm. And you know what's funny? Here in New York City, especially New York State, there's been at least 10,000, if not up to 30,000 health workers, ranging from nurses, doctors, social workers that are involved in the medical industry. So they screwed up the system of the medicine and health programs here in New York State to some degree. I'm not sure what's going on right this second, but as of like last year, that's what they did. So.
But I'm just saying, you know, it's so funny that only Democratic politicians are the only ones that we hear getting it now. It's almost like they're I wouldn't be surprised if they were lying about it, just desperately trying to keep the crisis alive, so they have a crisis to address. It's like, yeah, most people have moved on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can claim you got it all you want. No one really cares.
Definitely.
No one really cares about these people.
Yeah, but they're the ones in charge of our system, and like you said, we have responsibility as citizens to vote for the proper leadership. And after a while, it's about the free things in government, like free food, free cars, the cash for clunkers, stuff like that, or the bailouts we get from both the financial institutions as well as us citizens for the last couple of years. So it's kind of like, you know, how long can this go on? So
yeah, they're going to try to keep it going on as long as they possibly can.
And I hope that it won't affect the economy as a whole in the long term, because GameStop, as one specific example, they affected the stock market from last year. This is like around at the height of the pandemic as well, back in January 2021. I think Michael Jordan and some other people lost tens of millions of dollars from the GameStop fiasco. And you might want to say, so how that worked, but that's what been reported by people who study the market, and that's what's going on for the last year and a half now. So imagine what's going on happening nationwide, other than, you know, Indonesia and stuff like that. So.
All right, ready to move on?
Yep.
Okay, next. Xbox Game Pass August 2022 lineup adds 7 games. The first half of August will see 2 day 1 releases on Xbox Game Pass. If I'm not mistaken, all of these games have already made it. That all the games that were coming have already arrived on Game Pass as of this point. Xbox has unveiled the list of games coming to Game Pass during the first half of August. Xbox Game Pass subscribers will be able to check out 7 new games over the next 2 weeks, including 2 day 1 releases and a massive AAA game that's available now. Leading the way is Ghost Recon Wildlands, which is available today for Xbox PC and Xbox Cloud Gaming. Ghost Recon Wildlands is a cooperative-focused third-person shooter set in an enormous open world. Set in Bolivia, Wildlands focuses on a battle between U.S. Special Forces and a drug cartel that threatens to dismantle the country. Wildlands, which originally released in 2017, was the first open-world Ghost Recon game. It's much better than its successor, Ghost Recon Breakpoint, and it's worth checking out if you're looking for a squad-based shooter to play with friends. Starting August 4th, subscribers will be able to claim Shenzhen IO and Turbo Golf Racing. Shenzhen IO is a PC-only puzzle game inspired by real-life engineering. This in-depth logic game tasks you with building circuits and writing code. Meanwhile, Turbo Golf Racing is a Day 1 Game Pass release. You could consider it to be Rocket League with golf instead of soccer. Up to 8 players compete in arcade races while whamming giant golf balls down the tracks. That sounds interesting, actually. The second Day 1 release is 2 Point Campus, which arrives on August 9th. The follow-up to 2 Point Hospital. 2 Point Campus is a sim game revolving around building and running a school. A trio of titles arrive on Game Pass on August 11th. Cooking Simulator is a realistic cooking game with a physics system inspired by real cooking. The last 2 games for the first half of August are PC Game Pass only titles. Expeditions Rome, an off-world trading company. Expeditions Rome is a turn-based RPG set in ancient Rome, and Off-World Trading Company is a great real-time strategy game set on Mars. So the schedule, August 2nd, Ghost Recon Wildlands came to console, cloud, and PC. On the 4th, Shenzhen IO came to PC only. Turbo Golf Racing is only available on Xbox Series and PC, and the cloud. August 9th, 2 Point Campus came to the console, cloud, and PC. On August 11th, Cooking Simulator came to the console, cloud, PC. Expeditions Rome and Off-World Trading Company only came to the PC exclusively. The additions to the Game Pass lineup outweigh the removals in the first half of the month, but there are 5 games leaving on August 15th, which is this coming Monday. Boyfriend Dungeon, Curse of the Dead Gods, Library of Runia, Starmancer, and Train Sim World 2. As usual, there are updates for existing games and new Game Pass Ultimate perks to look forward to. Citizen Sleeper's first episode, Flux, is available now. Sniper Elite 5 has a new mission dubbed Landing Force that's also available now. Sea of Thieves fans can dive into Season 7 starting August 4th. New content drops for Fall Guys, Skate 3, and The Elder Scrolls Online will be available as Game Pass Ultimate perks. So, are you interested in any of these games that are coming to Game Pass?
Well, I've already played Sea of Thieves. Only played the tutorial version of the game, and it's all right. But I heard bad things about Sea of Thieves of longevity of the game, and it's not that great. But this Boyfriend Dungeon thing, I think I already downloaded a copy of that many months ago. If it's still on the Game Pass, that is. It was just coming out. So it stopped being on Game Pass by August 15th, you said. Boyfriend Dungeon I might play by myself if I see how that game is. Kind of weird for it to sound like that. It's like some dominatrix shit right there, like some BDSM stuff.
It's not that exciting.
Okay, so it's nothing like... Because I kind of the PS2 video game that rated A for adult called the Playboy Mansion. That's actually an actual game on the PS2.
Yeah, I played it on stream actually.
Oh, nice, perfect. All right. Well, how long ago you played that game, Triple J?
I played it once, but then I ended the stream when I realized I could take nude photos. I'm like, Twitch isn't gonna allow this.
What was this? What year was this?
Oh god, this was like the 2010s.
Oh yeah, you can do stuff on Twitch with no problem. Back then, that is. I mean, if it's 2013, 2014, that's like the last of the year of Twitch TV being a legitimate gaming-related site. Now it's all about hot tubs and nude art and stuff like that, body spray, body paint and stuff like that. In Playboy the Mansion, you also had to put together the magazine, and I was taking pictures of one of the models for the magazine, and then I hit right on the D-pad, and she removed her top, so she was completely naked from the neck to the waist. we're talking about this is actual gaming graphics, not actual photos or
Right.
okay.
Yeah, actual PS2 graphics. Yeah.
Because there's some like the what's the Metal Gear Solid 2 had those photos in the locker room and stuff. And they're not nudes, obviously, but they're the actual photos that you see in model magazines. You know, Maxim, Jugs, and what's it called, Men's Health sometimes, and also other, and Vanity Fair most likely too as well. So. Yeah.
The funniest part with you bring up those pictures is like when you would take a picture of it with your camera in Metal Gear Solid 2, then you would send it to Otacon. Otacon's like, ooh. And Snake's like, what? And Otacon's like, oh, nothing, but we can't use it. I'll just make a backup of this one.
See, I wish I could do that. I never thought about doing that at one point. I never did after
do you still have Metal Gear Solid 2?
I still have my copy, yes.
Okay, if you want to if you want to find like if you want to know one Easter egg, basically any picture in the tanker section, the first part of the game, take a picture of it with your camera, then send those to Otacon.
Yeah, of course, definitely.
There's like a picture of like a man's body, and Otacon's like, okay, and Snake's like, what? And Otacon's like, nothing. If that's what you're interested in, of course, there's no problem keeping it to yourself.
That's funny.
And also, the picture, like, you open two lockers together, you see, like, a boy and girl photo.
Yeah,
like, the boy's wearing a blue shirt.
Yeah.
Take that picture together. Otacon starts laughing. He's like, this is hilarious. This rules. And he goes, but we can't use it. Get the pictures we need. So, anyway, the game, Boyfriend Dungeon, it's kind of like I really wouldn't play it. It's basically a game meant for females.
Okay, so it's not like a male and female simultaneous type of, like Catherine, for example.
Well, you could play it, but trying to decide on the right guy might not sound, and not to mention the female who reviewed it from IGN didn't even give it that good of a. She didn't like it. So
okay, because Catherine was good. It was good for both men and females. You know, it's Catherine is a good game. I try to do my best to play at least once every few weeks with on my BitChute, especially those who go far back 3 years ago. I had at least about 4, if not 6, 7 sample gameplays as Catherine. So starting with Mission 3 or Level 3, excuse me. So to those that want to look back, check out my BitChute. There's a lot of conspiracy theory websites, you know, on that site. You know whatever. But the rest of the stuff you go breeze by with the gameplay of sorts. So yeah.
So anyway, the game is coming. Ghost Recon. I think I played Breakpoint. Just the single player adventure though. 2 Point Campus does sound interesting. Unfortunately, if you just have an Xbox One, like I said, Turbo Golf Racing is Xbox Series exclusive. Cooking Simulator, I don't care about.
Isn't it the game that you played the other year or two? The cooking video game?
No.
Okay.
And the game, as far as the game's leaving, like I said, they're nothing I know to be a big loss. Even this article said there's nothing really.
Agree. I understand the feeling.
Ready to move on?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. Next, let me turn. AEW Fight Forever gets box art, new gameplay details, and screenshots. All Elite Wrestling's first AAA wrestling title, AEW Fight Forever, takes a few significant steps towards becoming a reality. After heavy rumors, THQ Nordic is confirmed as the game's publisher. Moreover, we get a rundown of the game's modes, a batch of fresh screenshots, as well as the unveiling of the box art. AEW Fight Forever is being developed by Yuke's and has been billed as an homage to classic arcade wrestling game styles, such as WWF No Mercy, including input from director Hideyuki Iwashita. In addition to capturing an old-school feel, the game hopes to emulate AEW's in-ring style with the newly revealed addition of elaborate tandem offense moves for tag team bouts. THQ plans to share more gameplay details during a THQ Nordic showcase on the 12th, which was yesterday. Until then, a press release lays out the game modes, which may be final unless the showcase reveals anything new. There will be a career mode. Players create their own AEW star who competes in matches and stories over an event schedule. You earn points by winning matches and completing objectives. These points enhance your character's stats. Online multiplayer includes online co-op and leaderboards. These are the match types confirmed so far: singles, tag team, three-way dance, four-way dance, ladder match, casino battle royale, falls count anywhere, unsanctioned lights out, and the exploding barbed wire deathmatch. Creation modes. You'll be able to create your own wrestler, customate their appearance and their attire. You'll be able to create custom movesets, custom entrances, custom arenas, and confirmed wrestlers. You can also take a look at how the game progressed on the presentation side by viewing the gallery. Based on today's information and previews, AEW's Fight Forever confirmed roster so far is as follows: Abaddon, Chris Jericho, CM Punk, Darby Allin, Dr. Britt Baker, Hangman Adam Page, Hikaru Shida, Jade Cargill, Jon Moxley, Jungle Boy, Kenny Omega, Chris Statlander, Matt and Nick Jackson, the Young Bucks, Nyla Rose, Thunder Rosa, and Yuka Sakazaki. Finally, THQ confirmed the list of platforms for AEW Fight Forever. You can pick up the game on PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. It currently has no release window, but is rumored to release later this year. As a matter of fact, it said it could release as late as December of 2023. But most people think that's just a placeholder date for now. How do you think AEW Fight Forever is shaping up?
Well, I never really have played a wrestling game in a while altogether, but if I were to be a betting man, I think AEW Fight Forever will be a good addition to my collection of wrestling games. I mean, the SmackDown games were good. For SmackDown versus Raw, SmackDown versus Raw 2006, 2007. After 2009, it started to become a little bit redundant, But other than that, AEW might pick up the pace. And this time it's by the similar company to HQ. So, publisher, that is, obviously. But, yeah, because when the SmackDown games came out, not when it comes to SmackDown shuts your mouth, know your role and stuff like that. And it was all well and good because they had THQ and Ukes games and stuff like that. They did a good job making these games. So I hope THQ will give it a little style like it did back in the 2000s. Because I know one thing's certain. I want to get my hands on the SmackDown Here Comes the Pain game, and I was so amped up for that game back then too. So hopefully this will be another reinvigoration of wrestling games altogether. Because I got tired of the 2K games. Now I never played. Yeah. I will admit this. I never played any of the 2K games on my own. Especially 2016 with Steve Austin cover on it. I should try to do that one day, play that online with you guys. But other than that, every other game out there for the last 10 years now is not the same.
Yeah.
If I can elaborate, even back during in 2002 when they put out the Xbox game Raw, even though it had lacking features, it was still good to play. So yeah, that's all I got to say.
Okay, well, I mean, you don't have anything to say about the exploding barbed wire deathmatch being in the game, or?
Oh yeah, you actually did. Speaking of that'd be interesting to see that in game playing. You actually gave me a GIF of the Wrestling Society Axis, I think it's called. I saw it wrapped up in my package. It's I should try to play that. Watch that event one day. Because we saw it together on the internet, and it's a good collection. I want to keep it sealed because if I can find these matches on YouTube, it would be worthwhile, to not sell, of course, but to have it, authentic, And,
have it a collector's item.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, the exploding barbed wire deathmatch that happened between Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley, That's gonna be in the game. The Casino Border Battle Royale, which is their version of a Royal Rumble, except 5 wrestlers come out at a time instead of just one at a time.
Wow.
The entrance times are also more spaced out.
That's crazy. 5 at a time. That's like some chaotic shit going on there.
Well, what they do is like 5 wrestlers will start out in the ring,
Okay.
and then like say they're the Heart suit. Then I saw the first Battle Royale, which they had is like when the timer ran out for the next group to come out, you saw the different suits that hadn't come out yet. You know, you saw a diamond, you saw a club, you saw a spade. It was switching between them, and then it landed on one. And whoever was part of that suit, those 5 came out. But it was like 5 minutes between groups, not 1 or 2 minutes. So it's kind of like their version of Royal Rumble. Unsanctioned lights out. That's going to be interesting because the lights out. It's an unsanctioned match basically.
Like the match between Shawn Michaels and Triple H at SummerSlam.
Exactly. Also, there's going to be what was I going to bring up? There's also going to be mini games. Britt Baker and Tony Schiavone did a YouTube trailer for this. No one knows exactly what the mini games are. Like some look like they're dropping like Bound for Glory coins, or were not Bound for Glory. Double or Nothing coins were dropping from the ceiling, and like you had to try to collect as many as you could in a time limit. It was mini games. People were losing their shit over it on Twitter. And it's just like, these mini games might just be an add-on that you could like play the game, never touch these mini games, and still have a fun wrestling experience.
Oh yeah.
And for anyone who thinks this is something new, it's absolutely nothing new. Final Fight, one of my favorite beat 'em ups of all time, they had mini games. After level 2, you could destroy a gang member's car, and you would get extra points if you completely destroyed it in 30 seconds. After you completed level 4, there were these like frames of glass that you had to get your way through to get to the other end of the room. You had to do that in a specific amount of time. You did that successfully, you got a whole bunch of points, which would help you get extra lives, depending on what the game was set on. So, but these mini games, people were flipping their lids, and it's just like you saw 5-10 seconds of mini games, and you're already writing the game off as
triggered.
You're already writing the game off as not worth getting. And the thing is, this is created. They got the guy who created WWF No Mercy.
Oh wow!
The guy who helped create that game is working on this one.
Nice.
They also have Ukes working on this. Ukes created their SmackDown games and the SmackDown vs. Raw and the 2K games up to 2K19.
I thought Ukes was disbanded.
No, Ukes basically didn't want to work on the 2K games anymore. They wanted to branch out.
I see. Okay.
And AEW got Ukes to work on it. So you got the guys who created the SmackDown games, the ones we love, and the ones that came after it. You got the guy who created WWF No Mercy, which is still regarded as one of the best wrestling games ever, even today. It deserves a chance, and I really can't wait for this game.
By the way, Triple J, the AEW Fight Forever game, will it be rated M for mature or rated T for teen?
They didn't say.
Because if they include the barbed wire match stuff, they have to make it at least a rated M for mature. Because it has to be bloody.
Probably.
It has to be bloody as hell and as realistic as heck,
Right.
I mean, especially when it involves like matches like First Blood, hardcore matches, street fights,
Yeah. So it probably will. But unfortunately, there's no release date. But I just hope that the THQ Nordic is not the same THQ that we know of when we think of wrestling games.
Yeah, from the 2000s.
Right. But I hope Ukes and the guy that helped No Mercy create WWF No Mercy take their time because I know the game's going to be. I have a feeling the game's going to be awesome.
If they take their sweet time if they release it by 2024, it'll be a very good game.
Well, they did say there is a release window of December 2023.
Okay, that's plenty of time for them to make it happen.
But they might speed that up if they happen to be done with the game sooner.
As long as we're not going to have another... go on, sorry.
They've been... Because this game is not nothing new. They've talked about it for months.
I see.
Cody Rhodes was still with the company when they first announced this game.
Okay. Because as long as there's not going to be another major shutdown of parts of the United States like New York we had back in March of 2020 with that 2-week shutdown, I think everything will be fine from here on out for the next couple of years or so.
Yeah. Ready to move on?
Yep.
Okay. Next. Dead by Daylight announces a new Resident Evil collaboration, Project W. Ada Wong, Rebecca Chambers, and Albert Wesker are heading into the fog. Dead by Daylight is returning to Raccoon City with a new Resident Evil chapter tentatively titled Project W. Behavior Interactive, the developers of Dead by Daylight, previously worked with Capcom to bring Jill Valentine and Leon S. Kennedy to the game. Now, a new Resident Evil collaboration will bring 2 new survivors to the fog, Ada Wong and Rebecca Chambers. But with new survivors means a new killer, and it's none other than Albert Wesker, or the Mastermind, as he's called in the fog. I'm gonna play the trailer for people who are watching on Twitch. Then I'll finish the article. A little lacking on information, if you ask me. But it does look interesting. It looks more like a chase game instead of being chased around Raccoon City instead of what Dead by Daylight normally was. Ada Wong is the series' resident super spy, while Rebecca Chambers is the young STARS recruit and medic. Albert Wesker is a high-ranking Umbrella officer and is armed with super strength, a rush ability, and the power to infect victims with the Ouroboros virus, which can be cured by first aid sprays littered through the map. Alongside the new characters, Project W will add an improved version of the Raccoon City Police Department. The map has received a complete quality of life update based on player feedback, which includes splitting the police department into 2 separate maps based on the west and east wings. The west wing includes the STARS office, dark room, and records room, while the east wing contains the chief's office, art room, rooftop, and more. There's also additional access to the front exterior section. Dead by Daylight Project W is coming soon to all platforms. Also check out Behavior's new game Meet Your Maker, which also announced during today's live stream. So you saw the trailer before we went live. What did you think of it?
I think it's pretty interesting. I'm very surprised they brought back Rebecca Chambers, because last time we had Rebecca in any form of game or movie of any sort of any media, to my awareness that is the Resident Evil 0, and by Resident Evil Vendetta, the CGI movie, the computer graphics movies, she was featured in the Vendetta. During that movie, she was sick by the virus. I think it's T virus, or it was some similar virus, because it was now called the Umbrella after Resident Evil 6. So after 20 years later, almost 20 years from 2002 of Resident Evil 0 until 2019, 2018 of Resident Evil Vendetta. So yeah, it's been a long haul for Rebecca to be brought back, and now they're bringing her more often into the fray again. But this is based on just not non-canon. It's not part of the lore per se. But why Wesker? Should it be Mr. X? Should it be like the Tyrant from Resident Evil 2 and stuff? That type of stuff. But Wesker, if they put it into a Resident Evil 5 format, okay, I can understand that.
Yeah, like Wesker from Resident Evil 5.
Yeah, like the setting in Africa, especially in South Africa, perhaps in Morocco, something like that. And that would be great, because Wesker died. I don't know if I should spoil this, but Wesker's not no longer part of the lore after Resident Evil 5, so it's like, it sucks, because he was the backbone, or the mastermind behind, at least one of the masterminds behind Umbrella, because Marcus and the Ashford family, they were all involved with making Umbrella come to be over the last 30 years of its timeline, 40 years at least. So yeah, it's a big lore to look forward to and to look into over the last 25 years now. We've been playing. I'm sure about you specifically, James, but I've been playing Resident Evil since the Resident Evil Red Director's Cut, the 1988 video game. That's like another like a rehash of sorts of what happened with Resident Evil, switching up with the items and such. Um, but yeah, it's a long haul. It's a big long way, and I'm glad that they finally brought back Rebecca.
Okay. Yeah, this does look interesting. I was just getting, unfortunately, after I watched the trailer, it's like I was just getting into it, and as soon as I was getting into it, the trailer seemed to end.
Yes.
That's what I felt like. That's why I said I felt a little lacking.
It's not lacking.
But
It's suspenseful, I should say.
yeah. Well, I mean, I was expecting a little bit more, but that does sound cool. That you know, maybe they could do more Raccoon City locations with these characters. That is something I'd like to see.
Right.
Um, the Stars office. I never played Resident Evil 2. I did play Resident Evil 3. The Stars office was kind of small. If you think about it.
It was like a basic, like a small business office area.
Yeah. I mean, you had the. I mean, especially if you cut out the room if you didn't need Jill's ID. So it's. I mean, but this. I am interested in this. So hope. So I guess we'll find out when this comes out.
Speaking of,
How it'll,
if I can
how
go on.
we'll find out how good or bad this actually is. But this does interest me.
Speaking of Resident Evil again, if to those who are well aware of what's going on with the latest games, Resident Evil 2 has changed not too much the schematics, but they expand upon the detailing of this police station. So it's a good way to train yourself down before whenever this Dead by Daylight add-on comes about. To train yourself how to memorize the places if it's like that in that setting.
Well, we don't know what's going to be the difference between like Resident Evil 2's Raccoon City Police Department and what's it's going to be like in this Dead by Daylight collaboration.
But you mentioned the chief's office. You mentioned
The art room, the rooftop, the Stars office.
Yep, and as well as the main hall with at one point they had those little tiny coins we put in there. I'll get the key and stuff. Now that's changed about in Resident Evil 2 Remake. Because when I played Resident Evil 2 Remake for about an hour and a half, last time I was on live streaming, it was that detailed, this police station. It was more detailed than the original Resident Evil game, or Resident Evil 2 game, actually. So, yeah, it's worthwhile, Resident Evil 2, if
All right.
you get your hands on it.
Ready to move on?
Yep.
All right, next. Latest Sims 4 patch fixes incest bug and rapid aging. Sims will no longer ask to date their family members after the latest patch. In keeping with Sims 4 tradition, the new high school years expansion and its accompanying free update broke a whole lot of features both in both the base game and other expansions. A new patch has now been released that addresses some of the biggest bugs, including one that caused rapid aging and another that made Sims want to date their family members. The infamous incest bug appeared in the game as part of the Wants and Fear system, which has been reintroduced from past Sims titles. An unrelated but similar bug arising from the High School Years update, which saw adult Sims tagging teenagers in appropriately flirty social bunny posts, has also been fixed. Another major bug from the update saw Sims rapidly aging, sometimes in reverse, in games where Sim lifespans were set to long or short rather than the default normal lifespan. The full list of corrected bugs can be found in the patch notes below. Here it is. The Sims with a short or long lifespan will no longer become younger or age dramatically when leaving Create a Sim. The Ask to be a girlfriend-boyfriend want now targets appropriate Sims. Adult Sims no longer tag teens in flirtatious social bunny posts. All available Sims now can be selected for travel, even if they are currently not in the current lot. That's from The Sims 4. From Get Famous, Sims without fame no longer occasionally appear to have it. In the high school years, Sims now can walk through the I was a teenage garbage artist pile of clutter. Okay. What do you think of The Sims of this update?
Well, I've never been a big Sims fan. I did play Sims. Like I said again, it's like the incest thing. It sounds like an eye catcher at first, but then it's like, why? It's yeah. And the only Sims game I really played for more than an hour was like the urban version, which that's the one I got from my first girlfriend at the time. She introduced me to that game. We played it together for a while. Other than that, after that, I never played it again. So.
Well, I mean, even though you're not a fan of The Sims, I know that. What do you? I mean, are you glad that they finally fixed these issues?
I thought they deliberately put that in as an add-on. Like they do with the gay pride stuff every year with the June.
Yeah.
But like,
well,
like the day before the Pride Month started, everyone from Microsoft to Facebook to GM Motors, you name it, they were all blank, with their original logos. But the next day, for a month straight, it's all about the gay pride this, gay pride that, rainbows everywhere. And then the day after the Pride Month, the last day, went back to normalcy, and they threw up the regurgitate the bullshit in a sense.
Yeah. Sims 4, I still haven't played it. If I play on Game Pass, I'm usually playing other games on Game Pass.
I forgot it's on Game Pass, right? Sims 4?
Last I checked, yeah.
Oh, wow.
You didn't even know that.
I didn't know that.
Like I said, the first time I played it for a free play day, I gave my sim a bedroom and a bathroom. I had no money to create more rooms, and like if my sim was hungry, he had to go to the park and like cook on the public grill in the park, and that was funny to just watch my.
You had a whole
not planning ahead.
No living room, no bedroom.
He had a bedroom and a bathroom. That's it.
Okay, what's the big deal?
And it's funny, like my sim had a girlfriend, so his girlfriend would come over. You see them like both sitting on the bed watching his like tablet.
Okay. I mean, as realistic as possible, huh?
No, I just didn't. I just thought when I purchased the lot, I didn't realize that was going to take so much money because like I bulldozed the house because I wanted to create the house that I wanted.
You should have
It was my first time playing it, by the way. Playing The Sims 4.
You should have salvaged that previous house. Don't try to throw it away. Come on now.
So anyway,
sell for $10,000 down payment. I don't care.
Anyway, so these past issues with The Sims 4 have been fixed. Unfortunately, we just wish they would fix their policies. I mean, if they want to wave the rainbow flag, that's their thing. But why does it need to be in a game again rated E for everyone?
Mm-hmm.
And they even brag, no, you can't turn this thing off. And it's like, okay, so we can't turn off your pandering. Great. Ready to move on?
Yeah, this was interesting.
Next. OMG, someone actually conquered Halo 2's impossible $20,000 challenge. Jackal snipers be damned. Jervelin actually earned YouTuber Critical's bounty. They said it was impossible, and for nearly 2 decades, that seemed to be the case. But last night, a streamer named Jervelin beat Halo 2's Lasso Deathless challenge, earning a cool $20,000 in the process. Talk about finishing the fight. Let's rewind. Earlier this summer, the YouTuber Charles Critical White Jr. posted a $5,000 bounty to beat Halo 2 on the highest difficulty setting with every bonus challenge modifier turned on without dying. In the 18 years since Halo 2's 2004 release on Xbox, no one had ever published evidence of completing the challenge. White's challenge stipulates that the whole one is streamed, either on YouTube or Twitch. By July, no one had successfully stepped up to the plate, so last month, White tacked an extra $15,000 onto the bounty. Most observers keeping tabs on the challenge had their money on Jervelin, a relatively private streamer who's picked up a modest following for setting world records on a variety of Halo challenges, being the first person to complete it. Sure enough, late last night, he crossed the finish line. Neither White nor Jervelin could be reached for comment in time for publication. Jervelin was remarkably chill for finishing what some people, including White Jr., have called the hardest challenge in all of gaming, addressing viewers in the even-handed tone you'd use while moving on to the next addendum in a mostly empty community board meeting. All right, chat, he said. I think we did it. I think we effing did it. Imagine that. 2 years ago, I said I think this is impossible. Imagine effing that. Whether or not Halo 2's Last So Deathless challenge really is the hardest in gaming is, of course, a subjective measure, but it's definitely up there. You have to activate all of the game skulls or gameplay modifiers that typically ramp up the difficulty. The catch skull, for instance, makes enemies toss grenades more frequently. Famine, meanwhile, means enemies drop half the ammo they usually would. Mythic doubles the health of all enemies, while Angry increases the enemy's fire rate. Blind removes your HUD. Assassins turn enemies invisible. It's not technically all skulls, however. For the challenge, Envy is left off because that one grants you invisibility too, which does not make Halo 2 more difficult for obvious reasons. Altogether, when you turn every skull on and play on Legendary, the game's highest difficulty setting, you more or less create a set of conditions that ensure you die instantly if you take any damage. Jervelin had to rely on a few exploits to finish the challenge. To wit, he brought a Banshee, a violet-colored aerial vehicle with a powerful cannon, into the final boss fight against Tartarus on the Great Journey level. That final fight takes place on a series of circumferential platforms hovering over an abyss. With pinpoint precision, he used the Banshee's cannon to send waves of foes careening off the edge as they spawn before they get a chance to really even fight. I've been covering the Halo community for a while now, and can't recall a time where I've seen players pretty unanimous in an opinion, let alone a positive one. Sure, Halo Infinite, the last game in the series, has its issues with which players are not shy about criticizing, but there remains a reverence among even the biggest name for Bungie's original games from the mid-2000s, and the mind-bogglingly impressive feats players are able to pull off. The one garnered praise from Halo streamers like Remy Mint Blitz and Luck Hidden Xperia Emmanuel Lovejoy, the coach for Cloud9, arguably the best professional Halo team on the planet right now, called Jervelin a legend. So did Space Stations Gaming's Ubernick. The Halo pro Kyle Elam noted how yesterday's scrims, basically matches between pro players that don't count towards the official seasonal record, were put on pause so players could collectively watch Jervelin get it done. Gonna need Jervelin to make a Twitter so we can actually at this legend. Clapping hands emoji. Halo sports analyst and caster Alexander Shyway Hope said, "It has been a genuine delight to witness such universal acclaim from all corners of the community. But the most heartwarming moment, the sort of moment that proves this, not the toxicity that inhales so much oxygen out of the room, is what video games are all about, happened in the final seconds of the stream. Jervelin's family runs into the stream, embracing him in almost suffocatingly tight bear hug. $20,000 is nice. That's nice. So, what do you think of this guy who completed the Halo 2 challenge?
Bravo! Bravo! Yes, he did it. $20,000, baby. That's enough to pay off student loans, Xbox, you name it, even utility bills. He deserves it. Man, Jervelin is... I don't know how he did it, because I did predict it. I didn't say it publicly necessarily, but I did say that it's going to take at least a half a day to beat it on this difficulty, let alone all those skulls. But in 6 hours and 30 minutes it took him to beat the levels. Crazy. I was like, what the hell? You expect 12 hours, maybe 17 hours, okay. But fucking 6 hours and 30 minutes? That's crazy, my friend. It's crazy.
Well, it just shows you no gaming challenge is too tough. There's always someone out there that can complete it.
I mean,
Um,
you saw my double kill, rocket kill that shot across the map. I mean, that was
yep.
basic instinct. And I'm on medications, by the way, guys. So imagine you met me back 13 years ago when I was playing Halo 3. You saw my gameplay. To those who saw my record, because I was getting dominated in like half my matches. But now at age 34, going on 35 this month, I'm like an old fart to most of these kids. They're like, oh, you weren't good, Dr. Games. You were never good. I'm like, yeah, check back on my Halo 3 record. It was still there on Bungie.net. Hello, people. If it's still there, that is. But I know that they must have transferred some data to the Halo Waypoint website. But other than that, I want to hog the spotlight over from Jervin. But Jervin, he deserved that $20,000 easily. He's covered for a few months easily. So
yeah, I just want to applaud for Jervelin. Congratulations, if he ever sees this. You were awesome. Basically, you did what most people thought would be impossible. I think even Jervelin himself said it was impossible.
It's a sweet time. It takes 6 hours and 30 minutes. I would expect like 15 and 20 hours straight. Sat down there with like nothing but water and a piss cup, and that's about it.
Well, on that delightful note.
I'm sorry.
I thought you said you weren't. I thought you said you weren't going to hog the spotlight.
I'm sorry.
But no. This is amazing. This guy definitely deserves his day in the sun. So all I can say, I don't know the guy, but congratulations.
He should get like sponsorships for the next Halo Infinite season, and
he should. He definitely deserves it now. He's definitely got something to brag about. So I mean, why not give him sponsorships?
From Bungie to 343, Microsoft, the Xbox division. Phil Spencer should come to his house and give him a nice big hug and a deal with Microsoft. Come on now, Phil Spencer, give that guy more shit.
Yeah. And what do you think about this achievement, this feat, bringing the gaming community together, the good parts of the gaming community together?
We haven't had this in at least a couple of years, at least. Of course, Halo 5 had its moments for the launch of the Halo 5 was all right, but by the time you include the Halo Infinite, that was it was a good moment at first, but that's like nothing really. It's bringing those old and new players together. This by far brings all kinds of players together to see this feat, this accomplishment, and I hope one day Jervin will do something more than just being that legendary. Perhaps he'll probably do trick shots like I do way better than me.
Well, maybe if he's this good, maybe he can become a professional Halo player.
Well, I'm not sure about that per se because of course he has the skills obviously, but now it's like he has to practice, he has to fight. He gotta have sponsors first. First things first, he needs to get like a team together and get the best of the best. Bring Heinz, bring Ipistola and some other guy, and to put them together as a team. Let's see what happens later after that. Let's see. I mentioned these guys are Halo players, professional Halo players, so.
Well, I mean, if this guy wants to do it, I mean, he probably just wanted the $20,000. But the thing is, I mean, if he wants to become a professional Halo player, you just become the best you can in multiplayer. Once you become the best, or once you have an impressive win-loss record, there are tournaments that you can compete in, which help you get sponsors, which help you get teams, which help you, So I mean, congratulations, Jervelin. I hope you're enjoying that $20,000.
Oh yeah.
Ready to move on?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Next. Arcade 1UP announces Marvel vs. Capcom 2 cabinet with 8 games and Wi-Fi play. One of the most beloved fighting games of all time is finally getting the Arcade 1UP treatment. Marvel vs. Capcom, the legendary crossover extravaganza from 2000, is the latest game featured by the Replica Arcade Cabinet Company. Just want to make sure. Okay, I got Marvel vs. Capcom 2 gathers 56 playable heroes and villains from both Marvel and Capcom's robust catalogs of characters in over-the-top 3 vs 3 fighting game. In addition to giving you something approximating the original arcade experience through this replica cabinet, the Arcade 1-Up release also features online play via Wi-Fi. As it has done with most of its recent cabinets, Arcade 1-Up offers more than just the game on the marquee. You can see the full list of 8 classic Marvel games included in this cabinet below. It comes with Marvel vs. Capcom 2, Marvel vs. Capcom, Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter, X-Men vs. Street Fighter, Marvel Superheroes, X-Men Children of the Atom, X-Men Mutant Apocalypse, and Marvel Superheroes in War of the Germs. Marvel vs. Capcom 2 has been largely unavailable since 2013, with home digital versions getting delisted or physical copies skyrocketing in price. Arcade 1-Up's Marvel vs. Capcom 2 cabinet opens up for pre-orders starting September 8th, with orders shipping a few weeks later in early October. The package includes a matching custom riser, light-up marquee, a headphone jack, and exclusive side panel art. You can sign up to be notified of when pre-orders go live at Arcade 1-Up's official page. So, what do you think of this Marvel vs. Capcom 2 arcade cabinet?
Wow. Marvel vs. Capcom 2, I played that at the Manhattan arcade over by Times Square. This is like 15 years ago. That game, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, it sucks. I don't like that game. I like the first Marvel vs. Capcom for the PS1 and arcade back during the late 1990s. But by the second one, it was like, what are they doing with Marvel vs. Capcom? Like, the second one, it was like all over the place. These players popping out of nowhere. It's not versus a tag team. It's all about this switcher-maroos. Like, it's not tagging. It's like switching players this or add play to the game. And it wasn't... I wasn't expecting Marvel vs. Capcom to be that great, you know. But this arcade 1-Up thing, I'm not sure about, because like I said, I played Marvel vs. Capcom 2 at a local arcade many years ago, decades.
Well, they said it's also going to include the first one. It's going to also include other games like Marvel vs. Capcom vs. Street Fighter. Like, would any of these games interest you?
Oh yeah, definitely. But after like Street Fighter versus X-Men, Marvel vs. Capcom, Tekken X Street Fighter if possible, that would be great.
That's not in it.
Okay, I'm trying to add something to it. Because the Marvel vs. Capcom 2 I didn't like at all. I was like playing this game. I was like, what am I doing? Like, this is not Marvel vs. Capcom that I played with Omega Shenron, whatever his name is, at the boss level, whatever. I just don't understand it. But Marvel vs. Capcom 3, they've rebounded back. I heard. The gameplay was better. I heard. So okay, I'll try to get the copy of the ultimate version. But yeah. But other than that, I'm excited at the same time. I'm not gonna play Marvel vs. Capcom 2. I'm not gonna play that game. So.
All right. I played one Marvel vs. Capcom game. It might have been 3. I don't really remember. It was like 2012, 2013, on Xbox 360. Okay. I do know Xbox One was not out yet. Xbox One wasn't even a thing yet. You know, obviously these arcade cabinets go for somewhere like $500, $600.
It's not bad, actually.
Yeah, if you got the room for it, it's not bad. So yeah,
I remember back in the day, it cost like $2,000 for like those 50,000 games in one, or 10,000 games in one. That's what happened at the Action Burger restaurant I went to the other year. They had this 2,000 in-game in one machine. It might cost them at least like $3,000. Last time I checked. So it could be cheaper by now. So.
Okay, so yeah, so I mean, if you're interested in the Marvel vs. Capcom series or the other games I listed, maybe you want to get this 1-Up arcade. It comes with 8 different games, so even if you don't like Marvel vs. Capcom or Marvel vs. Capcom 2, there's 6 other games that you may like.
Mm-hmm.
Ready to move on?
Yeah.
Okay. Next. Saturnalia is a survival horror indie with an art style you have to see. Saturnalia is an upcoming indie survival horror with one of the most interesting visual styles I've seen in the genre in a minute. Developed by Italy-based studio Santa Regione, Saturnalia is influenced heavily by the folklore of Sardinia, Italy, and inspired by Italian giallo horror films, typically more horror-esque mystery thrillers. In it, you control 4 different characters, all connected through a mysterious storyline that ties back to the haunting traditions of an ancient village. The village itself is an elaborate maze with no 2 iterations being precisely the same. You'll have to explore and solve mysteries of the games largely unguided, the game's website reads, die and watch the village reconfigure itself into a new form. Solve puzzles and open shortcuts to new areas with tools and items you find along the way, unlocking every piece of the story with different characters, each suited for another aspect of exploration and investigation. All of that sounds great, but Saturnalia's unique art style makes me most excited. It's like a mix of stop motion and sketchbook, which looks like it'll lend itself nicely to the game's horror elements. Santa Regione is the studio behind games like Photonica, Mirror Moon EP, and Wheels of Aurelia. Saturnalia does not yet have a launch date, but it will be PC exclusively via the Epic Game Store sometime in 2022. The studio is planning to launch the game on other platforms, but the timing of that remains to be announced. What do you think of Saturnalia?
I watched the trailer, especially the gameplay trailer that lasted for 3 minutes. It's not that bad. It's very distinct gameplay altogether. Like you said, sketch artwork. At the same time, you're playing the character, moving about in that type of artwork. Kind of like similar to those filters you see on your smartphones, in some matter. Now that's very simple. At the same time, a masterpiece at the same time, because who can thought about that, put that into gameplay like that, and that sketch artwork type of gameplay. It was way better than Outlast, or perhaps maybe what's it? I know Outlast I never played yet, but I see gameplay of it by Markiplier. He did a good job to play that game. It was pretty cool to be in that position. But this Saturnalia game, I hope it will come out on PC this year, because I like to try it out, a copy of it, and see how it goes.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. Every time you die, the level changes itself.
I think it's based. It's based
on. That's definitely gonna keep things fresh.
Oh yeah, it's based on an actual landmark somewhere in Europe, if I recall correctly. Especially if it's in Italy somewhere. I'm not sure exactly, because you know how in Europe they have different hilltops, and especially in Italy with the scavenge. That scavenge. It's like a arid land, like it's built upon on top of each other.
Okay.
Yeah, something like that. It's based on something like you see in Italy, Rome, Italy specifically, or perhaps Paris, France. Last time I checked, so that's what I read and looked into.
Okay, so yeah, I don't have anything to say about this yet. But that level changing aspect does interest me.
It's gonna be better than Slender Man at this rate.
So we'll see. I guess we'll find out more as it gets released towards PC, and we'll find out more. We'll eventually find out when it's coming to consoles for console gamers.
Oh yeah.
Ready to move on?
Yeah.
All right. Next, Super Punch-Out's let me rephrase. We start that. Super Punch-Out's secret 2-player mode discovered after 28 years. Newly discovered cheat reveals previously hidden multiplayer option. It turns out Super Punch-Out was a competitive multiplayer game all along. It just took fans 28 years to figure it out. Earlier today, the Twitter account Unlisted Cheats revealed 2 new previously undiscovered cheats for Super Punch-Out, the sequel to Punch-Out released in 1994. The first cheat offers access to a free single match with any fighter in the game. It can be accessed by holding Y and R on a controller plugged into the Player 2 slot, then pressing Start on a Player 1 controller. The second cheat remarkably makes it possible to actually play as one of the 16 characters in Super Punch-Out and even perform their special moves. Want to use Bald Bull's charge attack? Just press down and B, and away you'll go. Just pray you don't get punched at the wrong time. To access the two-player mode, you need to enter the free match mode screen, select a fighter, and when it goes to the character info screen, holding B and Y on the player 2 controller while pressing start on player 1. You should be able to control the second fighter from that point onward. Both cheats have been confirmed to work on the Nintendo Switch Online version of Super Punch-Out by IGN. It's unclear why the secret mode has been hidden away all this time, though it's likely there for testing purposes. Whatever the reason, it adds a whole new dimension to this 16-bit classic, allowing players to unleash the full might of Bear Hugger and Gabby J. This isn't the first time a Punch-Out game has had multiplayer, granted. The Wii's Punch-Out also had multiplayer, though you fought a clone of Little Mac instead of one of the actual boxers. Super Punch-Out, by contrast, now allows you to play as the crazed circus clown. You can read our review of Super Punch-Out as well as where it lands on our list of the top 125 Nintendo games of all time. And if you want additional news from the world of Nintendo, check out the Nintendo Voice Chat podcast, where we recently reviewed Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Now, I know you were never a Punch-Out fan of any of the games. Did you ever play Super Punch-Out, though?
Not that I'm aware of. If I did, it must have been when I was like 5, 6 years old with the Nintendo system with my dad. But back when my dad was still alive, we only had the Super Mario Brothers original with the Duck Hunt and the gun itself. Still have it up there to this day. And that's about it. Other than that, that's the only Nintendo game I played so far hands-on. So I can't say much about this one. But
this was Super Punch-Out was Super Nintendo.
Oh, of course. Okay. But yeah, it's sounds interesting. 20 years later, wow, that means that play must be at least in his 20s right now to do this stuff. So he must have got a big brother or big sister who play games, and they figured it out. It's kind of like that thing with Nintendo, Super Nintendo's Super Mario World for the Super Nintendo, where you do a certain code or a certain procedure on the game or cartridge, and it says "F you."
Yeah. Someone said you just have to be on the Star World, and then you jiggle the cartridge while it's in the Super Nintendo. Someone said that's how they access that part.
That's crazy.
Super Punch-Out, which it was again a comedic cast of colorful characters, the fact that it's 2-player never been discovered. I played it a lot. I had family members that played it that knew that could get past the first circuit. Just wow.
It's no life for that, right? For this Super Punch-Out thing.
Huh?
Talk about you need a no life scenario where it's you gotta be at this for years sort of figure this stuff out.
Not really. You just have to figure out the pattern of each fighter, then you could beat it no problem.
Right. But I have
it's just each fighter had a pattern.
Okay, because I have to say this though, isn't it kind of weird for the last few years now that the gamers are more knowledgeable how to program or how to do these certain tricks or these glitches in the game, but the developers don't know anything about it after a while. They lost their touch, the developers. I don't get that. That's kind of weird, don't you think?
Yeah, but I understand this was there for testing purposes, but I just don't know why they didn't try to. I mean, maybe they released it and they planned to let it be there, and they just forgot. And this was the day before patches, so they couldn't patch it in.
Yeah, because there are these people out there, these gamers who are, I don't know anything about them, but there's this one time on the N64 cartridge of Mario Kart 64 where you get to see Wario, Mario's evil side, or we were calling the bad guy, naked.
Who would want to see that?
Someone by the Digital Gaming channel on YouTube should tell that publicly to the viewers. Wow, this is you actually do that because you got to take the cartridge out, put it back in, do a little something with the controller, and that's how you get the naked Wario. It's gonna sound strange. I know it sounds strange, but it's these things are popping up all over the place for a few years now, and these developers wondered to themselves how did these guys do it?
Yeah. So I mean, Super Punch-Out It's 2 players. If you still have it and still have friends that want to play, you can play against each other. You can pick any of the characters. Punch-Out unfortunately died on the Wii. The comeback on the Wii wasn't as successful as everyone thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
But, Super Punch-Out is still a great game after all these years. A tough game, especially if you don't know the fighter's patterns, but that can be said for any Punch-Out, really.
Yeah.
But this one happened to be 2-player, and we just didn't know it.
Okay.
Ready to move on?
Yep.
All right. Next. The size of the millennial generation is to blame for sky-high inflation, strategist says. Sounds like someone trying to protect Joe Biden. The latest consumer price index data this week revealed a searing 9.1% increase year over year in June, prompting Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen to say that inflation in the U.S. is unacceptably high. Well, look who's responsible for it. The cause behind the steep jumps include high energy prices, pandemic stimulus spending, and geopolitical crisis, but one investor is blaming millennials. Well, that investor is an idiot. Soaring inflation is putting markets on edge and triggering fears of a recession. The latest consumer price index data this week revealed a searing 9.1% increase year over year in June, prompting Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen to say that inflation in the U.S. is unacceptably high, and the person who's responsible for it is your boss. The causes behind the steep jumps include high commodity and energy prices, triggered by supply shortages and Russia's war in Ukraine. Oh, for crying out loud, stop blaming the war in Ukraine. Record government spending packages on economic stimulus and low interest rates amid the COVID pandemic and continuing labor shortages and supply chain problems meeting increased demand. But one investor is arguing that there's another major factor to blame: millennials. See, what everyone is not including in the conversation is what really causes inflation, which is too many people with too much money chasing too few goods. Bill Smead, chief investment officer at Smead Capital Management, told CNBC's Squawk Box Europe on Thursday. Smead explains that in the U.S. there are estimated 92 million millennials, primarily in the 27 to 42-year-old age bracket. The last time we saw what we call Wolverine inflation, which is inflation that is hard for policymakers to stop, was when 75 million baby boomers had replaced 44 million silent generation people in the 1970s. So we have in the United States a whole lot of people, aged 27 to 42, who postponed home buying, car buying, for about 7 years later than most generations, he said. But in the past 2 years, they have all entered the party together, and this is just the beginning of a 10 to 12 year time period where there's about 50% more people that are wanting these things than there were in the prior group. So the Fed can tighten credit, but it won't reduce the number of people wanting these necessities in comparison to the prior group, Smead said. To be sure, the Federal Reserve's printing of an unprecedented amount of money since the pandemic began is a major cause of inflation, economists agree. Smead also did not mention skyrocketing energy prices due to geopolitical events and supply issues, which can't be blamed on millennials. Plenty of millennials would disagree with the idea that they all have a lot of money and are now purchasing assets. According to a number of surveys taken in the last 2 years, upward 60% of millennials are delaying home buying due to student debt or the simple cost of homes compared with wages. This generation is also the one with the fastest growing debt burden. Even many of those with ample funds are still holding back. As recently as June, the CNBC Millionaire Survey found that millennials are 3 times more likely to be cutting back on big purchases compared with their baby boomer counterparts. 44% of millennial respondents said higher rates have caused them to delay purchasing a new home, compared with only 6% of baby boomers. Nearly half of millennial millionaires said they are delaying purchase of a car because of higher rates, more than double the rate of baby boomers, CNBC wrote. Pressure on the housing market due to the pandemic-induced shortage of inventory and high competition is also keeping many potential buyers in the late 20s to early 40s age group away. Despite all this, largest home buyer market by generation. Despite all this, millennials are still making up the largest chunk of the home buyer market by generation. They're also the largest generation in the U.S. by population. Millennials now make up 43% of home buyers, the most of any generation, and increased from 37% last year, the National Association of Realtors found in its latest study released in March. The NAR classifies 23 to 31-year-olds as younger millennials and 32 to 41-year-olds as older millennials. 81% of younger millennials and 48% of older millennials were first-time homebuyers more than other age groups, NAR wrote. Older millennials made up the largest generational group of buyers at 25%, and the median age was 36, the study found. The next largest group was Gen Xers at 22%, with the median age at 49. Some young adults have used the pandemic to take to their financial advantage by paying down debt and cutting the cost of rent in moving in with family. They are now jumping headfirst into home ownership, Jessica Lotz, NAR's Vice President of Demographics and Behavioral Insights, said in the report. The figures still leave a lot of young people out of the picture. According to rental listing site Apartment List in 2020, 18% of millennials believe they would be paying rent forever, giving up on home ownership, nearly double the rate of 10.7 2 years prior. The Fed's role. As the Fed pumped U.S. market with liquidity, or some say flooded it, and kept interest rates low over the last 2 years, the officials contended through 2021 that creeping inflation was transitory. In late May, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen admitted she had been wrong. I think I was wrong then about the path that inflation would take, she told CNN's Wolf Blitzer in an interview. Sonny, you were the last one to be aware of that. There have been unanticipated and large shocks that have boosted energy and food prices and supply bottlenecks that have affected our economy badly that I at the time didn't fully understand. Then get rid of, then find someone else for the job because you were the last. Just because you were last to the party doesn't mean you have an excuse. Mm-hmm. The Fed has approved 3 interest rate hikes this year, with the latest in mid-June, constituting the largest single increase in the country since 1994 at 75 basis points. After June's inflation of 9.1%, analysts predict the central bank could deploy a massive 100 basis point rise to combat inflation, which in the U.S. is at its highest in 40 years. Atlanta Fed President Raphael Bostic, when asked earlier this week by reporters about the likelihood of the hike, replied, "Everything is in play." You're the one who suggested this article, right. so I'm gonna let you speak first. Just let me get something to drink because my mouth's starting to get dry.
Understood. All right. Well, I'm not a big economic expert or an official economic expert. I've been studying the market to my awareness for how many years now. I'm currently majoring in business at my online school for the last 2 years altogether as an online student to begin with. What I can tell from the article is that they're blaming everything on the millennials for quite some time now, for at least about 5 years now, from like the economy to the living quality to lifestyle quality, and it's like it's not our fault the fact that the baby boomers themselves have their hand in the economy for God knows how many decades prior to us being born. So we're just late to the party, yes, but at the same time we're not the ones who started up the economic fiasco back in the 1990s. Because based upon what at the time Bill Clinton, the president of the United States, did in the 1990s, was he tried to maintain the federal budget from like $5 billion to $3 billion or $5 trillion to $3 trillion of the overall debt. But after the 2000s, when Bush came to office, it went higher and higher. Obama much higher, Trump much higher, than now Biden. It's like now we're to $30 trillion in debt. So it's not our fault, because back in the 1990s, we were like not even like 10 years old, so most of us millennials. So you can't blame everything on us. And we just want to just play video games and have a good time. So we're not into working like 60, 70, 80 hours a week, literally just to kill time. Like if I want to work that kind of conditions, I will make sure that you have some backups, in case I get sick, or I have to lose a limb, or something of that sort. Because let's face it, work is not going to make you, they're going to keep you if you miss work after a while. So, but other than that, it's don't blame everything on us. to CNBC, ABC, whoever these news stations are. Now, I understand it sounds economical. It sounds like, what's the point of knowing about all this economics? But it affects us as gamers to what we buy, sell, what we do with our games. Can we put it on the market? Can we put it on eBay, Amazon? It's harder now than for the last few months now to buy games, because last year and the year before we had the stimulus checks, right? All well and good, 800 there, 1,200 there, 1,400 there, 600 there, somewhere around those each of these checks. So it's about 4 checks in total, or at least 3 so far. Supposed to have a 4th one sometime this year or next year, the latest. And Andrew Yang, who was a candidate of 2020 elections, he proposed the universal basic income, UBI. And it sounds good at first on paper, but then eventually, who's going to pay for all this stuff? The taxpayers, or at least the ones who are working to pay off the taxes, they want to themselves, hey, I want to get a universal basic income too. So all this money is passing around, so much money pumped into the market, now all of a sudden it's affecting prices altogether, and it went up at least by 8%, what Sticks Exenhammer said the other day on one of his reports earlier this week, if I recall correctly. So this is ridiculous. Like, you can't blame, like I said, don't blame it on us. This is your fault, baby boomers, partially Generation X, maybe, but other than that, we just want to have a job. We want to have a job to maintain our costs and our utilities and housing. Because after a while, if you're working like a slave job or slave wage of like $10 an hour at a fast food restaurant, you're lucky to get like $350 gross pay every week. And I remember correctly, when I worked as a fast food worker for Subway sandwiches in 2005, if I was working for a whole year full time with Subway, I would get like no more than $15,000 a year before taxation. So I was like, I'm not going to survive off of this stuff after a while. This is for college students, the fast food and stuff like that. So it's a mess. The economic situation from 2008 is a mess, and they haven't brought back the boom bust style of economics, because that's what they taught us in school, us millennials. So it's not our fault that you're teaching us that up means up and down means down. The United States say that is, who cares? Who cares about the up and downs? Let's just make it as we go along. That's what's been going on for the last 7, 8, at least 10 years now, since the 2008 collapse, or the 2008 economic financial crisis. So it sucks, but it is what it is, right?
Yeah, I just have to say, no one seemed to know these problems. No one was talking about these problems in 2017, 2018, 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we had a different president, one who is competent at what he did. The inflation was like at 1% when Biden took office.
Okay.
And if you want to know who's responsible for the high inflation rate, there's that idiot in the White House and the idiots who voted for him. I have to say, I knew Biden was going to be a bad president, but I'll even admit, I didn't know he was going to be this bad.
Oh yeah.
When so there is that, but like I said, I knew he was not the man for the job. Unfortunately, not enough people got that message.
Oh yeah.
And now it's too late. We have to suffer. Hopefully, things will be rectified in the midterms. But as far as millennials being blamed for inflation, no, it's not millennials' problem. It's not. It's like I said, inflation was low 5 years ago. So look what happened in the last 5 years. You had Democrats get power. Democrats kept printing money like it grows on trees, and that's what caused inflation. And any news source that tries to claim otherwise, they're not completely wrong, but they're coming off as dishonest by, I think, trying to protect the president. They got their own agenda. I mean, I do have to say, I do remember a social studies class, I forget if it was junior high or high school, but we were talking about the Great Depression. And my teacher said one reason the Great Depression lasted so long is when people had money, they kind of held on to it. They weren't spending on goods. And that's why the Depression lasted as long as it did. But then again, when everything is going up day by day, you know, you have to keep the money you have until you. So you know, again, I think this person who wrote this article is basically trying to protect the Democrats.
Not trying to protect the Democrats, also to protect the baby boomers for their not destruction, but their selfish ways and antics of how to maintain the economy. Now, I'm not saying to maintain the economy as a political leader of sorts, whether you're a president of the United States, Speaker of the House of the Congress, or whatever that these positions are in Treasury and Federal Reserve, etc., etc. But you know, you had your hand in there for decades prior to us being, you know, alive. You know. There's no excuses. Like, you're supposed to teach us younger guys about that. It's supposed to be it's the highs and the lows, you know, boom and bust. But at this rate, now they're just making them as they go. Because I attended an economic class, economic history, if I recall correctly, is called, or microeconomics, if not macroeconomics class from my previous college online. The guy, I was wondering to myself, like, okay, he's telling the truth that we have a boom and bust at one point, but the other class later on in my curriculum, he said, like, oh, it goes upward, highward, like everything's inflated every year, and that's about it. You know, there's no downward spiral, there's no crash, there's no reconfiguration, reallocation of funds, or resetting the economy in a sense. It's just keep going up and up as the exponential concept is going about. Carl Denninger, who was an economist of some sort. He ran the fedupusa.org website. It's still there to this day, last time I checked. He mentioned this stuff is supposed to go down like a fucking rock. You know, just drop a rock in the water. That's about it. You can't just sustain this prop it up forever. You just can't. It makes things worse later on. So that's all I got to say.
Yeah. So I mean, again, this article sounds like it was a cover job.
Yeah.
They were trying to protect. They were trying to protect bad decisions. But you know, if real people, I mean, if you were paying attention to the economy in 2021, and you look at the economy now, you know what really caused inflation. Mm. It was reckless spending, and Democrats even try to say reckless spending, more spending, will help get inflation under control, which. That's like saying more gasoline will put out the fire.
Like Max Payne was saying in the first Max Payne game, put my flames out with gasoline.
Yeah. Ready to move on?
But I just want to mention one more thing, though, that, guys, I understand it's all about politics and economics on this podcast for the last 20 minutes. But, you know, you guys understand, like, we are part of the economy as a whole, whether you're a disabled person, as far as, like, you know, be on Social Security, or if you're a fast food worker, we do count in the economy no matter what we do. And whatever our behaviors and patterns are affects the economy as a whole in the long term, especially in this long term. So keep that in mind, guys, because like 10, 12 years ago, everyone was working, or at least people were able to find jobs, stay at these jobs for a few months, if not a couple of years at a time, and move on. Now it's hard to keep on the jobs because they fire you, lay you off every 6 months, and you're wondering to yourself, how much can I do this stuff, come from house to house or place to place in order to sustain a living. But now it's like, you know, us New Yorkers, especially here in New York City, you have to live with at least one other person to sustain the housing. So it's iffy now, the economy, and has been for at least a good 15 years. And I hope it'll get better to those who are more competent and more eligible and more expertise of the economy. I hope we get like Peter Schiff in office. He was running for Congress at one point as senator or whatever. We had Dennis Kucinich, Ron Paul, Cynthia McKinney being part of the Congress, but there's only a small amount of them. It has to be us as young guys to take over and do stuff with the economy and with the government at large to make sure this is not going to be a catastrophe in the long run. So that's all I got to say.
Yeah. All right. Time to move on.
Oh, yes, indeed. No more math for us.
Halo Infinite just got its biggest update of the summer. Fans of 343 Shooter have long requested cross-core customization, and it's here, kind of. It's a rare day in video game land where fans ask for a bunch of stuff from a live service game and then actually get it. But that's exactly what happened today when developer 343 Industries rolled out a ton of community requested features to Halo Infinite, its free-to-play multiplayer shooter. Halo Infinite, first released last year, has had a bit of a rocky life cycle. As with many free-to-play shooters, Halo Infinite is based on initially planned to last 3 months. The seasons have so far operated on 6-month cycles. We're partway through the second season, which is set to run until early November. Fans say this has left the shooter starved of essential content like maps, modes, and cosmetics, preventing it from feeling as fresh as it could be. The shooter is also structured around a rollout of weekly challenges. Completing your challenges nets you XP, which levels up your battle pass, giving you new cosmetic options with each level. Previously, you could only check on your active challenges while idling in the lobby between matches. Following today's update, you can see them in the middle of a match. There's a catch though. Challenges don't track progress in real time, so you won't actually know if you landed those 5 headshots or whatever until the match is over, but hey, progress. Today's update also marks Halo Infinite's first step towards cross-core customization, or the ability to use all customization options on all armor cores. Rather than one set of armor for your avatar, a 26th century super soldier, you have 5 so-called armored cores. Each one rocks a different look. You could customize them as you see fit. The cosmetic options, from accessories to armor parts to even the various color options, are tied specifically to each one. You can't, for instance, use any colors from the Mark 7 core's mentable Crayola box of armor coatings on the cores that lack solid options. So, what do you think of these? Oh, hold on. There's more.
Yeah.
I hate how Kotaku does this. Now, after today's update, all visors work with all armor cores. They all just show up automatically for all 5 of your cores. Unless I'm missing it, though, the armory doesn't indicate which armor core the visor was initially associated with. And since some are more or less identical, like the Uroi core's deep blue tempered steel and the Rakshas core deep blue tempered steel, you end up with a handful of visor options that look like duplicates. Your regular reminder that you can hold the Y button to compare any cosmetic option with what you're currently equipped. Hey, again, progress. That's not all. Later in the month, Halo Infinite will receive competitive and social versions of the beloved Team Doubles playlist, in which teams of 2 face off on small maps. These are currently scheduled for August 23rd, but 343 hasn't always hit targeted dates for Infinite's updates. But 343 quietly changed Team Sniper's playlist today, rolling out an update that wasn't in the official announcement, calling attention to it only on social media. Ever since the Team Sniper's playlist rolled out earlier this summer, it's featured a model that lets you start off with a Stalker rifle, a damn good precision weapon, that's also extremely not a sniper rifle. After today, that mode is gone, replaced by a mode that only spawns you with snipers. Shoddy Snipes, in which you start with a sniper and a shotgun, is still there, thankfully. Sadly, the Brute Snipes mode hasn't been purged, though at least the starting weapon, the Skewer, is technically a sniper rifle. Sorry, no word yet on either whether or not Halo Infinite will get a mode with only the shock rifle, but hey, one last time, progress. Sure, immediately, these are all small changes, but taken together, it's a sign of a game that's slowly adapting to players want it to be, much like Halo the Master Chief Collection before it. Soon enough, we'll all wake up and realize Halo Infinite 2 has legitimately evolved into a live service game. Since you're the Halo fan, I'll let you comment. What do you think of these Armor Core's updates?
Well, my friend, this is the second. It's like the second half, or like the second third of the summer season, from May until December. Last time I checked, because every 6 months is a season. So it's going to drip it out content little by little for the last God knows how many months now. And first it was King of the Hill was the big thing, whoop-de-doo, or quote-unquote, King of the Hill. Because, I just don't understand what 343 is doing, along with Microsoft. They're just doing a dribble effect. And at the Ackman on YouTube talked about this, man. This is it prolongs the longevity of the game in some kind of way. It depends on what demographics you go into, what's a group of players. Like me, for example, I'm a big Halo player for God knows how long, since like Halo 3, especially. I mean, I did play Halo 1 and 2, but still, like, the point is that you cannot just like put out little by little content and the stories are not syncing up with the gameplay, and you expect people to keep coming back for more and buy more of your battle pass, buy more of your skins and props and signs and symbols, all this other good stuff that's okay to play in the game, but that's appealed towards the younger crowd. Like if you want the big bucks, you gotta make us buy the full gameplay of the campaign for $60, which that's expensive for that kind of game, for that game itself by itself. You expect to sell it for at least the game itself, along with multiplayer and campaign and Forge. And if you want Battle Royale to add to it, that's been rumored for quite some time now. I don't know what my Bungie's trying to do for the last several months, but it's not looking too good. It looks like a blinking moment in a sense. It's just they're doing something good at the same time bad at the same time. That's worsening the Halo community. Like, you want people to come back to your game, but you're doing it as a live service, knowing that Halo's not supposed to be a live service per se. I mean, it's a risk taker. You take a risk for it, and I'm hearing that they hired people from Russia prior to the Russia-Ukraine war, so that kind of fucked up the sync-in and the marketing, as well as the content put out for the game. So one thing leads to another, you see a mishap, and now they have to play catch up until they find out some other sources, and whether it's outside or inside, try to develop these games on time or these events on time, whatever you want to call them. So I don't know, man. Triple J, it's iffy. So
okay, so yeah, I'm not a big Halo Infinite fan. I'm not a big Halo player. But hey, at least since players have been asking for this feature, at least they're getting it in a kind of sort of way. So, it's better than not getting it in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
That's really all I have to say about it. Ready to move on?
Yeah, just to let you guys, one more thing, guys. To those who are listening to this podcast, whether it's live or recording, Halo, it's okay to play on its own. The younger crowd in my circle of friends, they don't like what Halo has turned into for the last 9 to 10 months at least. And I kind of relate to what they're saying, but it's still okay to play the game. But it's just that if you really want me to buy the battle pass, if you really want to buy these cosmetics and stuff, you have to find some ways and means to make it look more appealing, because why should I? Apex Legends, even though that's an online only game, I spent $5 last night trying to catch up with the tournaments that I'm doing with zleague.gg, the website, for the last day or so. So that's like a worthwhile investment. I finally got like first place, if not second place, for my most recent tournament earlier this afternoon, online that is. So it's just keep this in mind. Like, just hold off on Halo for the time being of its excitement as much. If you're not a big Halo fan, if you're a big Halo fan like me, you can still play it. It's alright to play every now and then, but it's not the same like with Halo 3 or even Reach especially. And I was on medication a lot back in 2010 for the first year of my mental illness, whatever. And I was doing good and excited for the game itself, and I hooked on myself onto that game. But by the time Halo 5 came out, that started to lose its power or essence, and now Halo Infinite lost a considerable amount of essence. So that's all I got to say.
Okay, so ready to move on?
Yep.
Okay, next. PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium catalog gets a big dose of Yakuza and other games this month. In addition to PlayStation Plus August offerings of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2, Yakuza Like a Dragon, and Little Nightmares, the catalog of downloadable games for Extra and Premium subscription tiers is expanding next week. If you're Yakuza diehard or Yakuza curious, Sony has you covered. On August 16th, Extra Premium subscribers can download and play the following titles: Bugsnax, Dead by Daylight, Ghost Recon Wildlands, Yakuza 0, Yakuza Kiwami, and Yakuza Kiwami 2. While those titles are treated as the headliners, a few more games will also become available on that same date. Metro Exodus, Monopoly Madness, Monopoly Plus, Trials Amama and Uno. If you need a refresher on the differences between each subscription tier, be sure to check out our breakdown. Have you upgraded to the extra or premium tiers? If so, what do you think about the offerings so far? Would any of these games, if you had a PlayStation, would any of these games convince you to upgrade to their tiered service?
Well, my friend Triple J and friends, Xbox got it too with the Yakuza. They already have Yakuza 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, as well as the remake Komino Wami. And I think they also have the on sale too on Xbox it is of Yakuza the Hidden Dragon, or the latest Yakuza games. The one with that's very cartoony in a sense. But that was on sale, I heard. But other than that, why should I go to PlayStation right now? Yes, I'm getting a PS5 sooner or later, but it's like, how much more do I have to pay into PlayStation? Because PlayStation 5 should have the basic of the basic, have free online game playing, unlike Xbox does. So they should have done that instead to continue doing that particular service. And then whatever you want to buy later on, like extra games or rent games for a certain amount of price, for like $10 a month or $20 a month for a premium, something like that. I can understand that, but PlayStation got to know it's bopping and weaving with the market, because you can't just be like Microsoft. You just can't. Sony's not meant to be an actual all-out entertainment system. It must be a gaming system that was originally for the PS3 and a little bit of the PS4 at first. And I don't know, man. I'd rather just go to Xbox for my Yakuza games, and it's on sale if I want to buy all 6 of them, especially with my Game Pass service, the Ultimate Pass that is, and I get a discount of up to 10% off each game. And if I want to make a bundle, I'm sure there's a bundle out there sooner or later with Steam and PS5 and all, depends on who will get to claim that first. That'll be a good takeaway, a good deal to have for the matter. So, but yeah, I don't know. PS is just being redundant on this one. So.
I felt that too. Actually, when I first checked the article, I had to read the update, make sure I wasn't reading an old article.
Yes.
The Yakuza games, I've talked about them at length. I'm not going to reiterate what I said. It's weird that they're releasing like 2 versions of Monopoly and the card game Uno. Do those ever do well?
I mean, Uno was on the Xbox as well for like $7, not even. On sale.
Yeah, I think it was even on the 360.
Yeah.
So yeah, if any of these games interest you, then maybe, and you haven't upgraded to PlayStation's more expensive tiers, maybe these games will convince you. But honestly, I just read the list, and really nothing's memorable to me, besides the Yakuza games.
Right.
So it's nothing really interests me like I thought it would.
Mm-hmm.
Ready to move on?
Yep.
All right. Next, get 10 Resident Evil games for just $30, or spend just $1 and get 3 games. The latest Humble Bundle is one of the best we've seen all year, and it's giving you a chance to score 11 Resident Evil games for just $30. This includes most of the mainline series as well as several HD remasters. While it doesn't come with Resident Evil Village, you do get a 50% off voucher to use on Village. If you're not ready to drop $30, you can check out the $10 and $1 tiers, which offer 7 and 3 games respectively. All games are offered as Steam codes, and a portion of the proceeds go to the direct relief charity that's providing humanitarian support in Ukraine. Great games, great prices, and even greater cars. What more could you ask for in a bundle? So, here's a closer look at all the games included in the Resident Evil Decades of Horror bundle. In the $1 tier, you get Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil Revelations 2, Episode 1, Resident Evil, and Resident Evil Revelations. In the $10 tier, you get those 3 games, plus Resident Evil Revelations 2 Deluxe Edition, Resident Evil 0, Resident Evil 5 Gold Edition, and Resident Evil 6. In a $30 tier, the most expensive one, you get all those games, and then you get a 50% coupon a coupon that will save you 50% of the cost on Resident Evil Village, Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, Resident Evil 2, and Resident Evil 3. The bundle will stick around until August 24th, so you've got plenty of time to check out the deal. Or if you got some money to burn and want to help out a good cause, consider going big and trying to get your name on the top contributors leaderboard. The best donation right now sits at $100. So what do you think of these bundle of Steam codes that you can get between $1 to $30?
Yeah, thanks to my friend from he lives currently lives in Long Island now. He's someone I met at one of my mental hospitals. We've been friends since 2012, 2013, give or take. And he shared with me this website called kingun.com or kingun.net. And it's similar to what you've been explaining for the last minute or two. And I don't know how this economy or these style of market is with these Steam keys, but they're very lucrative to some people who are selling them for third-party websites. Like I said, mentioned of kingun.net. Whatever you mentioned with that website, it's interesting to see that you get discounts from just these third-party sites. It's great. As long as it's legitimate, as long as they're authentic, and it's not hacking, nothing of that sort, it'll be fine to resell them or rehash them on the secondary market, you want to call it like that. It's kind of like the next GameStop, but in a digital version of it. And I think what GameStop should do right now is to be all out digital. Now, of course, that means is that GameStop have to revamp its style of selling their games, because now they have to compete with Microsoft Store, PlayStation Store, Nintendo eShop. So it's kind of like people at home, like myself and you, we can go on the Xbox service and just buy an Xbox or buy a controller, and it all has 2 or 3 day shipping. And yes, GameStop has that too. I like their pre-owned stuff that they did with Xbox One and all. I got the old Xbox One controller that came with the system that was mailed to my address last week or two. And thank goodness, I had something like that first. So, but that's right now. In the future, it's kind of like, this is going to be the big thing. These e-cards, these subscriptions.
These Steam codes.
Yeah, these Steam codes, pretty much, Steam keys. Because back in the day, the 2000s, way before, because I knew I hated SteamPower.com, or Steam, whatever you want to call them now. Because back in 2010, it was hard as hell to try to get the proper download speed and download style and stuff like that. And it takes hours upon hours just to try to download one game. Especially if you have dial-up or if you have, what's it called, DSL, that's what I had back in the 2000s. And it was a different time. I would rather buy physical games back then. But now the internet is stronger, it's more reliable, it's consistent now, more than ever. Perfect. But GameStop has to adapt to that. If not, they're going to die, But other than GameStop, but I would definitely go for these Steam keys. As long as I don't get accused of hacking or accused of, illegal trade-ins, I'm fine with this.
Do any of these bundles, the $1, $10, or $30 bundle, do any of these bundles interest you?
Well, it depends on, because I know we talked about this in one of the previous episodes, recent episodes, where it's like, if you buy $1, you get 10 games, $5 for 30 games, something like that. You mentioned, right? Yes.
Maybe. That was something totally different, though.
Okay. Well, I'm still new to these digital Steam keys. Or of course, I could buy from Steam.com, SteamPower.com, but these third-party sites, like I mentioned, or that you mentioned especially, I'm like, okay, it's risky because it's random, like you said, right? So it's hard to tell.
No, it's not random. It's depending how much you spend is how much. Depending what tier you spend on, it depends what Resident Evil games you'll get. But it'll come in the form of a Steam code that you have to redeem. So it's kind of like you pay for the game tier you want. You get the codes for each specific game included in that tier. You redeem the codes, get the actual game, and then you have the actual game to play.
I see. So if I want to get all the Resident Evil games from Resident Evil 1 through 6 and Survivor, Code Veronica,
not Survivor or Code Veronica, but this had Resident Evil 1 through 6. It had Biohazard. It get you a coupon for Village. and it included Revelations.
Oh wow! Both Revelations, just one of the two.
The most expensive had both.
Oh wow! I spent $40 on Steam of the Tomb Raider bundle, the 20th anniversary edition bundle of the Tomb Raider games, of Tomb Raider 1 through 5, Angel of Darkness, the reboots of Tomb Raider, which is Tomb Raider, Rise of Tomb Raider, and the third Tomb Raider came out back 2 or 3, 4 years ago. So, that was worth it for $40. That's plus tax and all. So it was a bundle. It was worth it. So if it's like that with this, what you mentioned with these Resident Evil games, okay, try it. Especially if you're new to the Resident Evil, because I already have Resident Evil 1 through 6. I have Resident Evil. I played Resident Evil Survivor. I played Resident Evil Revelations 1 and 2. I actually own both of them. So it's like I still have time. I still try to make time to play Revelations at least, because it's a little similar to the Game Boy version of Resident Evil that I heard of with Leon and Barry team up, and Barry Bird knows now well aware of. Barry Bird was the Stars members team. Bravo, no, not Bravo, Alpha, if I recall correctly. Bravo was the one who got lost in the mansion. So it's a big story to cover throughout these games, but it's worth it, in my perspective.
Yeah, so if you're a big Resident Evil fan and you don't have the games, this is and you do play games on Steam. Keep in mind these games are Steam's mostly for PC gamers. If you don't have the Resident Evil games and you want them, this is a great way to get them all. I still have Resident Evil Biohazard, Resident Evil, which is Resident Evil 7. The others. It's not that this doesn't interest me, the tiers specifically. It's just I'm not a PC gamer. I'm not someone who uses Steam. I'm a console gamer. Mm-hmm. So, but even I would be interested. Maybe I could only afford the $1 tier right now, but that would be something. If it was on consoles, I'm not familiar with Steam. Maybe last time I used Steam was probably like 2012. So, but if you're a Resident Evil fan and you buy games off Steam, you're experienced with Steam, why not go for these games? Ready to move on?
Yep.
Okay. Next. No, Elden Ring and Grand Theft Auto 5 are not on Game Pass yet, despite a bug on Xbox's website saying both games are also playable on the cloud. Earlier this week, some folks checking Microsoft's cloud gaming beta website noticed something weird. Listing for games like Elden Ring and Grand Theft Auto 5 not only said they were part of the company's Game Pass offering, but would also be playable on the cloud. Here's a screen grab of Elden Ring's page taken by @KLob RILLE, clearly showing both the Game Pass badge and the fact that's playable on the cloud gaming beta. Basically, Elden Ring on Game Pass. Listings for Grand Theft Auto 5, which has already been on the service and left, and weirdly, Soul Hackers all declared they were now on the subscription service. Even weirder is the fact that none of these things had ever been announced, which you think would be the case given the prominence of both Elden Ring and Grand Theft Auto 5. There's a reason for that, of course. Microsoft has since told Eurogamer that the listings were a bug. We're aware of a bug that incorrectly displayed some titles as available with Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, a representative says. We rolled out a fix and this is now updated. Normally this kind of administrative back-end stuff wouldn't be that exciting, but what got people interested here is that Gamescom is less than 2 weeks away, with Microsoft due to make a significant appearance and a live presentation. And in June, Microsoft announced that Xbox Game Pass Ultimate users would be able to play select titles they own via cloud gaming, even if they weren't part of the Game Pass catalog. Put those two things together, and it seemed entirely plausible that Microsoft had simply jumped the gun on a couple of Gamescom announcements. Calling these listings a bug certainly seems to put a dampener on that enthusiasm, but Gamescom kicks off on August 22nd, just in case you want to keep an eye on things anyway. So do you wish, what do you think about this bug that listed Grand Theft Auto 5 and Elden Ring not only on Games Pass, but as playable on the cloud?
Oh, Excuse me. Sorry about that. It's been a long day for me. But Grand Theft Auto 5. What's the other game again?
Elden Ring.
Elden Ring. Oh wow. And this is a bundle, you said?
No. These were listed as playable on Game Pass via Game Pass and Game Pass via the cloud, but some bug in the system is what made these announcements come out. Neither one was on Game Pass or playable via the cloud, but people thought for a time they were.
Wow. No announcement whatsoever. Just so unexpected, huh?
People thought these games were just quietly added to Game Pass, but it turns out some bug in the system.
Imagine the Lizard Squad have their hands in it. You heard of the Lizard Squad before, right?
Huh?
You heard of the Lizard Squad before, right?
No.
So, back in 2013, if not 2014, of Christmas Day, the Lizard Squad overtook the Xbox's servers with some sort of worm of sorts. And it created this fluctuation in the trafficking of data and caused a crash or at least a shutdown in the server. So I figured maybe they had their hands in it and making certain games glitchy and able to be put on the Game Pass store, or the Xbox store, or whatever. So.
Well, no one's been listed as responsible yet. So.
Okay.
It just seems like a bug. I mean, that would be great if Grand Theft Auto 5 is on Game Pass. I don't know why it's not on Game Pass yet. Is it really still selling so much that you'd be losing money? I mean, we're talking about a game that came out for the 360 and PS3 in 2013.
They're still selling it on the PS5 as of now, too.
But, I mean, I just can't imagine that it's still selling. I think anyone who would have wanted it, to buy it again would have bought it by now.
Oh, I bought my Xbox One version back in 2015, 2016, give or take. Had the Shark card offer with it, so it's worth it. Unfortunately, I haven't beaten the whole game yet, officially and fully, but I will sooner or later. So I don't want to use any, walkthroughs or whatever to see what I need to do in the game, because I can make it unpredictable as possible. So I'm trying to stick with the Strangers and Geeks missions, and as well as rampages, if there's ever are rampages. I only found one so far, so I got a little ways to go there to beat the game. But other than that, it's really keep it unpredictable. GTA 5. So.
Yeah. So anyway, yes. Unfortunately, it would be great if these games were on Game Pass, but that's not the case.
Okay.
I need to move on.
How many more topics do we have for my side?
We got a couple more stories.
Sure thing. All right.
id Software is bundling multiple versions of Doom and other games together on Steam. Doom and Quake developer id Software is bundling multiple versions of its games together on Steam to make finding and buying them a little less confusing. The developer explained in a blog post that it will no longer list several copies of the same game on Steam, but instead include each version under the one main title. Doom 2, for example, was previously available in 4 different forms: Doom 2, Doom 2 Enhanced, Master Levels for Doom 2, and Final Doom. Following the change made on August 10th, however, all these games will be included simply under the Steam listing for Doom 2. Ultimate Doom has been rebranded as Doom 1993, and the same consolidation treatment has taken place for Doom 3 plus Quake 2 and Quake 2 Arena. id Software has also updated its collection so that the Classic Bundle now includes Doom 93 through to Doom 64, and the Franchise Bundle includes these plus the modern-day Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal. Spanning across multiple decades, id Software library of work is as vast as its full amazing games, the post said. However, this means a number of the id's offerings have been released or reiterated in ways that can make our digital storefronts a touch confusing. Rather than write out the differences between Final Doom, Ultimate Doom, and just Doom, we're consolidating our Steam library of titles. For those id Software experts that do know all the variations of our games released on Steam, bear with us as we simplify how our games appear so that newcomers have an easier time. The different versions that have been delisted as a result of the consolidation will still be available to those who've already purchased them, but will no longer appear on Steam's storefront. The latest Doom game, Doom Eternal, is arguably one of the series' best, as IGN said it was amazing in a 9 out of 10 review. The original game, meanwhile, has been modded into a number of weird and wacky devices, as the game has now been played on a McDonald's kiosk, on Twitter, a pregnancy test, and even within Doom itself. So, what do you think of id Software basically putting these... what it sounds like id Software is doing, and correct me if you think I'm wrong, it sounds like they're taking like all the versions of Doom 2 and just placing it on Doom 2. So, like, instead of Doom 2, Doom 2 Eternal, Doom 2 Arena, Doom 2 whatever, it's just all under that one listing.
I see. Okay, I'm a little bit confused about it. What is id Software trying to do with Doom 2 again? Like, what's the... I don't understand what you explained for the last minute or two. Can't you elaborate more about it?
Yes. Okay, so take Doom 2. You got Doom 2, base game. You got Doom 2 Eternal, Doom 2, whatever. You got Doom 2 whatever, and then you got Doom 2 final version.
Okay.
All those listings have been taken down, and now it's just Doom 2. It's just one listing for Doom 2.
One whole game.
I don't know if you can, I don't know once you, like, if you select Doom 2, then you can pick the version, but all these versions aren't appearing on the game storefront, on Steam storefront, at the beginning.
Oh, okay. All right.
Basically, you know, it's kind of like I'm trying to think of a game that, yeah, it's basically taking like all the versions of a game off and just putting one game up.
Like the GTA 4 game that came out with Lost on the Dam, the Battle of Game Tony, etc., etc. That's all now under.
Well, no, because that was mostly DLC. Okay. I can't really think of a game that would follow that right now, but it's basically taking different versions of a game, and previously all the versions were there available to buy. Now it's just they took all the versions off, put the one version on, and you know, basically it's trying to clean up the clutter on Steam's listings.
Oh yeah. Now I understand. It's just as a great extent now. Yeah, not bad. I mean, I'm not a big Doom guy. I did play Doom 64 at least for a few minutes with one of my neighborhood friends in Long Island. Other than that, you know, I mean, I played the Doom 2016 game. It's all right. I'm kind of like a little stuck on where to go to exactly because it's almost like the second floor and the first floor merged together, and I'm like, okay, do I have to make a jump? Do I have to go through a certain gate? I don't know, but I lost my interest in Doom 2016 altogether after just a couple of hours of gameplay. So it's like it's not my thing, so I can't really say much about it. So.
All right, I never played Doom 2016. I did play Doom Eternal. The single player campaign, I love it. It's definitely a great game. I did stream Doom 2 earlier this week. I think it was Tuesday I played it. Or was it? No, it was Doom. Or was that? No, it was Doom 64. I'm confused with Doom 2 because of the example I gave.
Right.
I played Doom 64 earlier this week. I streamed it. I'm stuck on that game like on the 4th or 5th level. But yeah, I'm a big fan of the Doom games. I thought Doom 3 was bad. Maybe other people did too, because that's why the series rebooted instead of just giving us Doom 4. But yeah, you know, basically, I don't know if these like if you pick Doom 2, I don't know if the different versions will pop up, or if it'll just give you one version. But you know, they did say anyone who bought their version of Doom already will be able to download it, even if it's not on the Steam's listing page anymore.
Okay.
Ready for the final story?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Last. New South Park game coming, teased with poop. However, there's little else known about the game, including when it will release or who's working on it. THQ Nordic rounded out its showcase on August 12th by ever so lightly teasing a new South Park game in the works. The tease consisted of the South Park Digital Studios logo and a soundbite of fan-favorite character Randy Marsh doing a particularly high-pressure moment before saying, "It's coming." Let's just say that's a safe bet this new game will have a sufficient amount of toilet humor for returning South Park fans. The announcement comes long after THQ initially lost the publishing rights to South Park The Stick of Truth in a sale to Ubisoft back when it filed for bankruptcy in 2013. The publisher subsequently went under before the trademark for its name was bought out by Nordic Games, and the brand was seemingly revived. In a way, this new South Park game is a real full-circle moment. Little else is known about the game at the time, including its title, release date, what studio will be working on it, or even what genre of game it will be, considering the most recent South Park games have been RPGs. After acquiring the publishing rights to South Park The Stick of Truth, which was developed by Microsoft-owned Obsidian Entertainment, Ubisoft released the game in 2014 and followed it up with its own internally developed sequel, South Park The Fractured Butthole, in 2017. Since then, there has been little in the way of news about South Park games despite their popularity. Elsewhere in its showcase, THQ Nordic also unveiled a reboot of the survival horror series Alone in the Dark and the brand new Recreation, an open-world racing game that dares to combine Burnout Paradise and Trackmania into one package. So, what do you think about this possible new South Park game coming out?
That's interesting. What are you calling it? A poop what again?
They don't have a title. They just said it was teased with poop.
Teased with poop. Okay, this is going to be interesting. I should try to buy the first two South Park games as well. So, not the very first game, but you know about the Fractured Butthole.
The two RPGs, yeah.
Yeah, and
the Stick of Truth, I have. I got stuck on when trying to get off the alien ship. But I did complete the Fractured Butthole.
Right.
I actually enjoyed that one more because of the superhero storyline instead of the the two kingdoms going at it. It was two groups of superheroes. Like Cartman had like Wolverine skills and everything. But yeah, so I don't know. I just hope this third game does continue the RPG thing. Stick of Truth was a little hard. Like I said, I got stuck on the alien ship. I couldn't win that fight no matter what I did. The last one.
You gotta keep training before the fight. It's like Final Fantasy X. You gotta train every single boss you go up against.
There's not many enemies to train against.
Well, what do you mean? Like, don't you go to a field or area of a map where?
No, you're stuck on an alien spaceship.
So there's no areas in this part of the spaceship to go wandering around and go into battles.
You can go into battles, but the thing is, you don't want to use what health potions you have. Second, there's not that many.
So, because any Final Fantasy game, you walk around every few seconds, there's like a new match started. So it's nothing like that in Stick of Truth, no?
No, in Stick of Truth, you see the enemies, and the thing is, I've already beaten all the enemies. That's how I got to the final battle on the spaceship, or the final alien battle on the spaceship. But no matter, I tried that battle for like an hour and a half on stream, and I couldn't figure out the right combination. I couldn't figure out, It doesn't help that you're also by yourself. You don't have any party members with you.
That makes a difference too.
But like I said, the Fractured Butthole was I enjoyed much more. I beat it so I completed it. So I do want to see a third game if it's going to be RPG.
Right.
I don't want to go back to the N64, PlayStation, Dreamcast days of South Park games.
Yeah, those are a little out there in the field.
Yeah. So, anything else to say, or ready to wrap things up?
I just want to say to you guys that for the last couple of days, or at least a day, I've been attending these tournaments online. I have a website called zleague.gg. I know I shouldn't be sponsored though, but I'm not being sponsored by them at all. And I've been gaining some credits from winning a tournament tour at least for the last day or so. And I have 2, if not 3 more tournaments over the next couple of days. So if you're interested in making some money or earning a way to buy a new system, it's going to be a long time to earn it if you keep at it, though. You got to keep earning credits after credits, take out risk, put bounties on people and stuff like that. That was called and especially in Apex Legends. So there's the games like Apex Legends, Halo Infinite, League of Legends, and Call of Duty Warzone most likely as well. But I'm always sticking with Apex Legends for the time being as Lifeline. So if you want to team up with me, email me, tweet me, or send a direct message, etc., etc. So keep that in mind.
All right, our next podcast will be 2 weeks from tonight on August 27th, starting at 9 p.m. Eastern. Hopefully, you'll join us for there. I didn't really have a chance to stream today. Was overtired. I had to take a nap before this podcast, so I might get to streaming tomorrow. If not, I'll definitely do Let's Plays. So follow me on Twitch if you're not already. Also, in the About section of my Twitch, there's a link to my Twitter. There's a link to my BitChute channel where Let's Plays are uploaded, as well as clips of this podcast. And there's a link to my Bonanza page where I sell video games, records, Game Informer magazines, and more. So I hope to see you on my next stream. Hopefully, we'll see you in 2 weeks for the next podcast. Until then, good night, everyone.
Bye, guys.